Hello, hello, hello.
السلام عليكم عبد الوهاب.
وعليكم السلام ورحمة. كيف أخباركم؟
How are you?
Fabulous, fabulous. No complain, no complain, no complain.
Hey, okay.
How you doing?
I'm doing great. Alhamdulillah, I can't complain either. Great
Awesome.
day.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey,
Hey, Abdullah. Thank you. I'm so happy I jumped on this call.
Nice.
Hey. Am I allowed to be here, or did I just jump in? Sorry.
No, you're allowed to be here. It's meant to feel more intimate today.
السلام عليكم، كيفكم إن شاء الله كلكم؟
أهلا. How are
الحمد
you?
لله. كيف الأخبار؟
Great. Planes just got back from the river actually. Going on a drive. This one things that if you guys know about me, I'm a big like nature guy. So we literally walked for about an hour, took the kiddos to the river, now for about a couple hours, and I literally just walked into the house 2 minutes before 5. So I'm glad I made it on time.
No, perfect timing.
I was gonna say, do you mind for a second, like going on Instagram just so we could get participants to jump to this Zoom?
I know
Instagram live with Madood, just to like be like, hey guys, we're about to start the workshop and kind of get people excited. And then jump onto here if that's cool with you.
Oh, that's perfect. So I'm gonna go to my Instagram.
Yeah.
In the meantime,
are you gonna go into I Will Coaching or your
I'll do both. I'll jump onto both real quick.
Okay, let me let Madood know.
Perfect.
Just quickly introduce you on our Instagram page.
And by the way, just it was advertised for 5 o'clock, but then I've seen it in a couple places it says 5:30. So I just wanted to make sure.
I didn't even know that it says that in multiple. Which posters did you see that is?
I'm not sure which one was, but I ran into a couple of them actually, and there's a ton.
So thank you. That's good to know. I'll look into that because inshallah the next couple sessions will all be at 5 p.m.
So looking for
How's everything going with Abdul Wahab? I see you're still online.
Yes, sir. I'm still here and I'm still there.
تعرف أنا عند مين صليت العصر بمزاج قلت لسه
I'm glad you did it, bro. I mean, literally, I got in 2 minutes before, jumped in, did my hustle real quick, and then I hopped in this. Right yesterday, too. I think we went in for a couple of hours just to make sure that we have all the time in the world, so we don't have to like cut it short if we don't have to.
Inshallah, there's so much knowledge to be shared. We need as much time as possible.
Man. That's the setup, bro. Just kidding.
لا 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 ما صرف.
Man, and it's interesting. It's the topic itself. I love the topic, by the way. So it's gonna be an interesting one.
It's gonna be. I mean,
participate in the conversation with or YouTube live if you just want to stream along and watch. Yeah, and you know we both came off the panel yesterday with him, and definitely go to Zoom. And if you can't go to Zoom, go to YouTube. That's it. Yeah.
أنا ما عارف إذا في اللايف ده كمان ما أقدر أخرب ولا أقوم يسمع صوتي غير.
Mashallah, like Mo was saying, we're on a panel with him yesterday and a few others. It was incredible, man. Like you just come off those. I came off that panel thinking, yo, like I already bought a journal. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay, how much
That's awesome.
my week? What am I doing today?
So we're doing
شريت journals already. MashaAllah.
That's good. So we're doing it not through Instagram Live, right? We're doing it
through YouTube. Yeah, through Zoom. I think everyone's going to start shifting.
Yeah, they're going to shift on Instagram just to get them hyped up because that's more where our follower base is.
Gotcha.
And then we're going to bring them on to Zoom. And since Zoom doesn't work in Sudan, we'll also have it on YouTube too.
Hello, perfect. If you don't mind, send me maybe the links, because I know they have a lot of Instagram guys who just wanted to make sure they can tune back into it.
Okay, do you want the link to the YouTube?
If you don't mind, that'd be great.
Yeah, I sent it in the chat box right now.
Perfect. And let me just hop on that.
Yeah, and feel free to request on the Zoom Film Inducee for the live link.
Perfect. Right. We're about to go in a couple seconds, so let me just jump on my Instagram real quick and start to post that on there real quick.
Okay,
Hi everyone.
Hello.
Hi Amro. Hi. Mubarak. Yeah.
Mustafa from Sudan. Mubarak.
Yeah.
motivation.
Perfect. Oh, that's sent to you. Okay. Let me just give you guys a. I'm ready when you guys are, so I mean we can definitely get started.
Assalamu alaikum, everyone. Sorry, I don't know if you guys started or not, but I'm so excited. Looking forward to this.
Hey sis, they were gonna do. Yeah, we're still.
Okay. All right. Okay. So it's already. So
Abdul Wahab, which one are you on?
Just which one? What do you mean?
Which Instagram account? Oh, he just turned it off. Never mind.
Yeah, my iWall. I'm Abdul Wahab one.
Oh, okay. Mandu just went off the live, so he just pushed it.
Okay, that's fine.
Okay.
It's nice to meet you, Abdul Wahab. I was so blown away by everything you said yesterday. I was like furiously scribbling down everything.
That's awesome. Well, thank you so much. Truly appreciate that. And pleasure is all mine. Thank you so much. Hopefully you guys are excited about today though. It's gonna be
Very
awesome.
much. I got my handy journal here, just waiting for these gems to be dropped.
Ooh, love the journal. Love the journal. This is awesome.
The thing, because I don't write so fast, I was like, you know what, screen record. Khalas.
Right.
The piracy of the copyrights is gone.
You know, funny story. Some of my clients, what they do is like they type for a living. I mean, some of them actually work, at the court systems and things like that. So these guys will probably like 200 or 300 words a minute. So when we start sessions and these guys are, get into the habit of start typing right away, say, no, stop. And you go get your pen and paper and start writing, and they hate me for it. But it's the concept of slowing the mind down and putting things into paper. So I think for me it's a habit now, but it's just an interesting thought process.
Absolutely. Let me come on. Awesome. I know for me, when I write so fast or if I'm like fully in the zone of writing, I'm not listening. I'll tell you that.
Right.
Yani, I will hear what you're saying, but the message won't hit me maybe till an hour later.
Gotcha. And you're a writer, so Alan, it's coming from a writer, so that's interesting.
Wallahi, I'm still a beginner. I'm learning from Tertil and Tabarak. They're the ones that pushed us on writing.
Nice.
Tertil, Alan Poe, Tabarak Zabos.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam.
Oh, Abdul Wahab, how's it going, man?
Awesome, bro. Awesome. Living the dream. No complaints.
Yeah, we've been hyped for this all day, man. Literally.
Yeah, I should, man. And I just went to the river with the wife and the kiddos, and we just got back. So I'm like pumped up level, like on some 10,000 degrees. So if you go too fast, slow me down, please do.
Nah, man. Thank you so much, bro. We're looking forward to this.
Much love, bro.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum assalam wa rahmah.
ليش السلام عليكم البارد المعي ده منذ السلام عليكم عمرو قبل طوالي.
That's my Amro cameras off bad that we just want to see Abdul Wahab.
Wallahi, that's exactly what I was gonna do. بس انت خجلتني بس خجلتني فخلاص.
You guys are too much.
I'll also be looking at the YouTube live to see if there's any questions.
Awesome. So just to put it out, since it's an interesting, a very interesting topic, and I'm going to inshallah take a very interesting, just approach to it itself. So one thing we can do, if you want, like while we continuing with the topic itself and we're talking, if there's any question that pop up, you can just ask the question right away, and we can maybe just adjust accordingly, and we can just adjust the topic itself to make sure that we fulfill those questionnaire. Because it's one of those topics, and we'll get into it. I mean, we will definitely get into it in a few minutes.
Okay, great.
Noted. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely.
Fantastic.
Perfect. So are we waiting for something? Would you like us just to dive right away into it?
I think we could go ahead and get started.
Do you want to give maybe a couple more minutes?
Yeah. So everyone here, like, feel free to drop questions. Like, as Abdul Wahab is speaking, it's gonna be more catered towards what you all want. The general topic is relationships. Thank you everyone that's joining us in today. And thank you Abdul Wahab for hosting this workshops. We're super excited and we're looking forward to what we're going to learn, and make sure to have your journals out.
Yes. You actually stole that right from my mouth. You know, like, please, you know, if you don't have a journal with you, I mean, take a second, go grab one, pen and paper. If you're into colors and things, like, just pick up a bunch of, different type of pens. But I really want you guys to take this, and make this about you. So the thing about what we're gonna do today is I want to make sure that before you leave today's workshop, inshallah, and every question that you have in mind, that I want to make sure that you get answered, right? So two things gonna happen, inshallah. We before we actually officially dive into the actual topic, I'm gonna give you guys a couple of seconds to write some specific questions down when you think about the name of the topic. And then throughout the topic itself, while we'll continue to talk and process different things and share stories, what you're gonna start to see is you're gonna find yourself, catching yourself with different thoughts and different ideas and different experiences or different perspectives that just pop up. Some of it can be related to what we're going to be talking about, inshallah, and some might not be. Like, literally, we might be talking about relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then all of a sudden in your mind thinking about, whoa, I need to make that car payment, whatever that is. But what I need you to do, I want you to capture that, and I want you to write that down. Why? Because there's a reason for it. Like, whatever we're saying today, it will trigger certain things in your mindset, in your conscious and your subconscious minds. And then I really want to make sure that you actually capture all these moments. So when you go back into your notes, let's say a day from now, a week from now, a month from now, and you start to review your notes, you're gonna start to see like these different thoughts that came in, throughout the workshop, and not just this workshop, inshallah, for the next few days. But I really want to make sure that you start to question the reasons, like, the origin from why you got that specific thoughts. Because sometimes, like I said, we talked about that yesterday. We have about 60,000 thoughts that come across our mind throughout the day. Some of it can get triggered by certain things. So that'll be that advice for you guys. So take about a second, just maybe a couple minutes to get people to go in and grab their journals. Let me just turn in this fan real quick, and I'll be right there. I'm back. All right, so inshallah, let's dive into it. Before we even get started, I really want you guys to think about the topic of relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from your own perspective. And I want you to write down 1, 2, 3 different questionnaire when you hear that, like when you hear that topic, relationship with Allah. What does that mean to you as an individual? Because whatever that is to you might not be the same thing that I'm feeling. It might not be the same thing that Tabarak is feeling. It might not be the same thing that Ihab is feeling. So what I want you guys to think about, I want you to draw down 2 or 3 different questionnaire that comes to mind, or even thoughts or things that you wanted to get out of today's workshop. We'll take about a minute for you guys to draw these questions down. If there's nothing that you wanna, you wanna ask, again, just think about your thought process and think about your own relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and just draw a couple things down. We'll take about a minute for you guys just to write some few questions down. Perfect. So I'm glad you guys wrote some things on your pieces of paper. So we'll dive right into it. But before I want to start the topic of the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I want to take it a step back to the conversation that we had yesterday when we talked briefly about the structure of your day, the balance in your day. I did identify about 6 different areas in my life that's most dear to me, and these are the important facts of my life that I wanna and I try on a daily basis to spend some time to nurture and improve on, right? And one of the parts that I wrote, and I'm gonna repeat the 6 different areas real quick for you. The 6 different areas are, the number one is the spirituality. Second is the physical being. Third one is the mental state. Fourth one is relationships. And we talked about relationships from relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, relationship with yourself, relationship with your parents, relationship with your siblings, relationship with your kids if you're married, relationship with your significant other, relationship with your, let's say, co-workers, and their relationship with everyone else that's around, your neighbors and people on the streets, whatever that is. Fourth one, we talked about career. And fifth one, we talked about money. So we talked about spirituality, we talked about physical being, we talked about mental state, we talked about relationship, we talked about career, and then the last one, we talked about money. And those are the 6 different areas. And I wanted to emphasize a little bit on those, areas of my life. And I want for you guys to take that minute to identify those areas of your life that are most important to you. The reason why we want to take that route is because one of the biggest issues that I tend to see a lot with a lot of the clients that I work with when we start to talk about spirituality and the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that lack of time. I mean, people will say, I'm working 80 hours a day, a week. I'm working from 8 to 4, 8 to 5, and typically I miss 4 or 5 different questions, like prayers, and then I feel really bad by the time I get home to pray them all together, and then I just get discouraged and I just don't keep moving forward. So I think having that structure as a baseline into the things that's important to you. So the $1 million question that I want to ask you guys, for you guys to write that down, is working on improving, I don't want to say improving, like just working on your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is something important to you. It's a yes or no answer. If you feel that yes is the answer, I think that's when you continue to push forward with this particular workshop. If you feel like, at this point, not really, I mean, again, that's not a problem, but I really want you guys to start to just also to listen. But this is where that intention will come in and become very, very, very important for us. And I want to take it from a more of a realistic standpoint as a young, guy growing up in this country and going through some of the challenges a lot of us are going through, right? So the $1 million question is like, do you want to work on your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? The answer is yes. Great. Now on your, like the areas of your life that you wanted to improve on, I really want you to put that in there, that, there's some commitment into this is what you want to do, right? Because if we talked about that yesterday again, if there's no commitment into what you want to do, I mean, there's nothing, there's no motivation. Like if you're not committed to do something, you're not gonna be motivated to do it. And then all of a sudden it becomes just a task that you will just drop, right? But if you are, so let me just take you back for a second. If I tell you, you're going to Disneyland tomorrow, right? And then you say to me, oh, okay, what time are you leaving? I say, well, we're leaving by 3 a.m. Guess what? You probably spend all night long just really getting excited, packing. You might not even sleep that night because this is something that you're really excited about. Hop on that plane and leave, right? So, and this is how I wanted to start to look at these different areas of your life that's from an excitement standpoint. You look at each and every area and you make that commitment that this is an area of my life that I really want to improve on. And that's when we start with that commitment piece, right? So hopefully you wrote that down, as far as that you are willing to put in efforts so we can improve that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? So that's phase number 1. We got that, The second thing is like making time on your day. At some point we have the intention, now it becomes a priority. And I'm not worried about what to write down just yet, but I just want to give you the overall picture as far as what we're doing today. So once we identify that this is relationship that's you are willing to spend the time to improve or to cherish or to nourish and to get better or just to continue to maintain, the next thing is like to allocate some time throughout the day to make sure that you fulfill those specific needs. And I'm not, and again, I'm not talking about like, oh, praying 100 million hours, a day. No, just in general. So I want you to look at your planner that you have, and I want you to break it down. And by the way, I did not send my planner yesterday by design because I want to send it after today's workshop. What I want you guys to do is something very simple. The time you wake up, like literally, I want you to write the time that you wake up, to say 7, 8 o'clock, whatever that is. And I want you to write it every hour. So put 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, all the way down till, till the next day. So what I want to see is a 24 hours on that piece of paper. Write it somewhere in that paper. And I'll give you about a second or two, about a minute or so for you to write that down. So let's just say you start from 4 o'clock. So you put 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 1, 2, 3, right? So you can get that 24-hour rotation. Perfect. The question that I have for you, do you know when is the time, currently, and this is what I want you to do. I want you to think about your current timeline as far as what you do throughout your day, as far as how are you allocating, how are you allocating your time just throughout, right? Let's not think about spirituality at this point. Just think about it from a general perspective. How do you spend your day? And I want you to be very honest with yourself. Because again, if you don't know where the problem is, we're not going to be able to identify a solution to it, right? So I want you to be very honest. And I want you to take yesterday as an example. I know Ramadan is an exception. Few things happened, which is great. But we are going to use Ramadan as a baseline to continue to move forward as far as that momentum. But I want you to think about, what time did you wake up? What's the first thing that you did when you woke up? If you ate, if you did sahur, perfect. Did you pray Fajr? Yes, no problem. Keep moving forward. Did you wake up? Today's Sunday. What did you do? Did you go online? Did you shower? Literally, I want you to think about anything and everything that you did throughout the day, today. All the way until right now, which is 5:30 p.m. And I'll give you about a second or two for you to write that down. And be specific. Please be specific. If you called your, let's say your mom and dad, put that in there. If you took a shower, if you talked to your significant other, write that down. If you feel like you just hopped on the market and checked in the stock market, great. If you worked on some piece of art, great. If you started working on your poetry, great. Made a phone call, perfect. Prayed, perfect. Read some Quran. Whatever that is that you did since you woke up today, I want you to write that down. And I also want you to think about, what time did you go to bed last night? There's a saying that I always say, you master your time, you master your life. Mastering your time, mastering your life. And as we talked about yesterday, we all have 24 hours a day. Literally, that's something that's a given. There's no advantages, there's no disadvantages. It's what you do with those 24 hours that you're given on a daily basis. That's what dictates the level of success in life that you want to get into, the level of balance that you get in life, right? So that's what I want you guys to think about. You have 24 hours a day. You wrote down the certain things that you did throughout the day today, which is great, all the way till 5:30. And I want you to anticipate what you are going to do until you go to bed tonight. So if you have a different pen, I would like for you to start to write those things down. So say 5:30 to 6:30 to 7:30, say we finish this workshop. If you're in this area, you had the thought, you hang out with family, you eat, you go smoke a cigarette, just hang out with your friends, read some Quran, pray Isha. You don't pray Isha, hang out with your boys in a car, all the way to 10 o'clock, watch that MJ, what is it called? The Last Dance, 10 to 12, whatever that is. Stay on Instagram a little bit. Literally, I would like for you to anticipate how your day will look like between now and the time you go to bed. It'll take about another minute for you guys just to write those things down. Perfect. I'm assuming that we have that. Then I want you to take a step back for a quick second, then look back at your planner for the day. And I want you just to give yourself a quick just a quick check mark, right? Are you satisfied with what you see in front of you? Either yes or no. Are you fulfilled with what you see in front of you? Say yes or no. Right. If the answer is yes, it's great. You're going on the right track. If the answer is no, I want you to think about 1 or 2 or 3 different things or thought processes that you could have done differently throughout the day today to get to where you want to go. Right? This is a tricky question because one of the things that I want to talk to you guys about is if we don't have specific goals, like let me just take a step back. Let me share a story with you. Right? I have my youngest sister, Lala, at some point came to me and said, hey, I would like to buy a car. Right? So I said to her, sure. So she's like, well, can you go to the dealership with me? And knowing me, I'm like, okay, I don't have a lot of time for it. But I said to her, you know what? That's fine. We'll go in this Saturday, I believe. It was a few months ago. So we ended up going Saturday to the dealership. I asked her what kind of car she wants. And she said, well, I don't know. I'm just going to go in there and find out. So we went there. And literally, we spent, I think we went there like around 10 o'clock in the afternoon. It was and then we ended up leaving roughly about 2 to 3 o'clock towards the late afternoon. And we probably just drove about 16 or 17 different vehicles. We checked a few hundreds. And by the end of the day, she did not like any cars. And we ended up leaving, right? So, and, very disappointed, she said, you know what, this is crazy. I want to go back the next week. I'm going to try it again, no problem. And I was very quiet at that time. Fast forward next weekend, she called me up again and she said, hey, can you go with me to get a car? So I said, you know what, just come to my house. So she came over and I asked her to bring in a pen and paper. And this is a true story, by the way. She's going to join this call in a few minutes. So you guys can ask her. And I asked her, I was like, well, what kind of car would you like? And she said, well, I don't know. So I said to her, I was like, we'll just start with the basic. What color would you like? She said, well, I want to get a gray color or blue. Great. Is it 4 doors or 2 doors? 4 doors. Is it, what kind of brands would you like? Oh, I want something luxury. So, okay, perfect. So we wrote the brands down. What kind of feature would you like? So we looked into the feature. Do you want a sunroof? No, I don't want to. I want this color. I want the interior. I want the leather. I don't want leather. Literally, we spend about 15 minutes just digging deeper into like exactly her wish list is the things that she wants. Towards the end of it, I asked her, like, what is your price range? And literally she said, well, I don't want to pay more than $22,000. Great, perfect, $22,000. We literally went into CarMax, that dealership, the app, and we literally entered everything she wanted into the app. And within a couple of seconds, we got 2 vehicles that popped up. Like, okay, great. So we called and said, hey, do you have these 2 vehicles ready? They said, yes. We got in the car, we drove there. We literally took us about 10, 15 minutes to test drive one. She did not like. She drove the other one. She liked it. Went through with the paperwork. It took us about a couple of hours, and she walked out with the car. The moral to the story is the more clear you are about your end goal, about what you truly want, the process become a lot easier for you to get there, right? Just think about that. And I really put that story out there for you. When the minute she did not know what kind of car she wanted, she literally spent 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 hours just going around trying to figure out what she wanted. And she couldn't find out what she wanted. Same exact thing with every aspect of your life that you want to improve. If you understand the end result of where you want to go, spiritually, I want to become more a better Muslim. Let's just say in that sense. I'll ask you that question. What does being a better Muslim mean? And then the question will be like, well, being a better Muslim is for me to pray more times. Well, how many times do you want to pray? Literally, that's the question. Okay, I want to pray my 5 times, like my 5 prayers on time. Great, this is great. Is this going to make you a better Muslim? Yes, wonderful. Let's keep, what else? Oh, I need to fast Ramadan. Perfect. What else? I want to do this. That's perfect. I need to read the Quran within a month. Literally, getting specific about what you want to do in life, that makes it a lot easier for you to go out there and get it. And this is one of the issues we tend to see a lot of, just us, to be honest with you, struggle with. If they don't understand the end result as far as where they want to go, like it becomes very frustrating as far as like, am I doing the right thing? Should I take the proper chances? Should I take these risks? Or I don't know where to start. Or I don't know where I'm going, right? If you don't know where you're going, at some point, like, where are you going, right? So that's the question I would like for you guys to ask yourself. So to improve that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to improve your just spirituality in general, or to become a better Muslim in so many different things, what does that mean to you? Right? And it will take about a couple minutes for you to draw down things that you feel that will help you become a better Muslim. And it could be anything. And this is another thing that I would like for you guys to understand. Islam is one of those religions that's like, it's one of the easiest religions that are out there. We as human beings tend to complicate it. Literally, we tend to complicate things. And that's why, like, when you go online and try, like earlier today, I was driving, I was driving back from the river, and I just went online to Google, just a quick second, and I asked Google that simple question, I asked my kids, first of all, like, who's Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? As a simple question. And he said, and his answer was, he's our creator. He watches over us, and he gives us what we want if we give him a good dua. That was my 6-year-old's answer. I went online to Google, and please do this at some point after this call, and I just typed in, who's Allah? And I promise you, I got so confused just reading and watching some of these videos that it freaked me out. I literally stopped watching that. Because there's so many different interpretations into this whole thing, and people take it for out of proportion. Like, they were trying to push certain things, they want to complicate certain things. You had different individuals, different, they have the Shias, you have the Sunnis, you have the Ahmadis, you have that. It's so many different perspectives into this whole thing. But if we take it, just leave all of that aside and take it back to the basics. And that's what I tell a lot of people, when you start to think about Islam and start thinking about the relationship as a Muslim for who you are as a person and how you can improve that, nurture that, the first thing is you're trying to understand, where are you in this whole process? And this is what this exercise will do to you. Went through your whole day. If you're satisfied with your day, great. If you're not, you start to ask yourself, how can I get better? Same thing as far as your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Where are you at this point with this relationship, right? And remember, it's not a black and white relationship. And this is something that I really want to make sure that we pay attention to, because this is something that's engraved in us since we were little kids. If you ask a question about who's Allah, you might get slapped in the face from my parents. I really want to be honest. This is something that I went through. Like, literally, yo, this is haram. Don't talk about this. I was like, okay, this is interesting. Okay, so why I have that? And that's the question my sister asked, like, why should I wear hijab? And literally the answer was like, because you need to wear the hijab. Like, well, I'm one, right? And it became that power struggle as far as like not understanding the reasons behind it, but we were forced to do certain things, and that's how we go with the motion. And this is one of these things that we have to at some point put apart and put aside. We cannot go with the motion, right? A lot of because Islam is one of those the religions it's easy to understand if you put the proper efforts to do it. And I'm going to talk about how we're going to get there, right? So let's go back into your own specific goals. You wrote down, you were not satisfied with your day. I asked you to write a couple things about how can you improve your day. I really want you to ask that question. How is your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at this point? And I really want you to spend about a minute or two to write down that. And if you don't know, just put, I don't know. But I really, truly want you to be honest with yourself. And don't overcomplicate it, right? We're just trying to find out what that is. Like, where are you in this whole journey? Perfect. So we wrote down a few things as far as your relationship, and all we continue to talk, I'd like we continue to write things down if you didn't finish, right? So knowing where you are, that's the first step. And then the second thing is like knowing where you want to go, right? And take it from a very easy perspective. We talked about that yesterday as far as not going from 0 to 100. We're not expecting you, we're not expecting ourselves, okay, if you haven't prayed, let's say in a whole month, 2 months, or a year, or 2 years, or 3 years, then starting tomorrow that you become a sheikh. And by the way, that's another myth. Islam is not about, it's a way of living, but it's not like changing everything and you have to make a major shift in your own life to accommodate. That's completely wrong when you think about it from that sense. Because I really want you guys to think and imagine going back like 1,400 years ago during the Prophet time and Sahabas and all these different individuals. I mean, they weren't just spending the time 24 hours just reading Quran and praying. Even the Prophet ﷺ didn't do that. They had balance in their life. They had, they had families, they had businesses, they had, friends that they hang out with, they had wars that ghazwat they used to go to, they had just other things that occupied their time. And if they weren't able to be balanced in their life at that point, I think that's when they find themselves in a very bad situation. There was a story about, Umar, like during his time, that he walked into the masjid and it was this guy just literally sitting there. And, so he looked at him the first day, walked back the next day, the guy's sitting there. So he asked him, was like, what are you doing here like every day? He's like, oh yeah, me and my brother made a commitment that he's going to go out there and work all the time. And I'm going to be worshiping all the time. And I'm going to be making dua for him. I heard, I think the story is like the more he actually picked up a stick and he said, you know what, your brother is way better than you are. I think gave him a couple hits with the sticks and told him to get out of here and go in and do some work. And that's what Islam is all about, is that balance in life. So when you start to think about where you at in this relationship or what you want to improve and where you want to go, I don't want you to think about it as like, that scary major shifts in life. That's not what it is. I'll call it the 2 millimeter shift, literally a 2 millimeter shift. What does that mean? Your goal is to improve on that 1% improvement on a daily basis. And that's all what it is. That's all what it takes. 1% improvement, right? So if you say day one, you said, you know what, I'm sitting here and I'm going to just read the story of the Prophet. That's 1% improvement. You read that, you did that a little bit. The next day you read the story of the Prophet and you maybe read like one thing just as an increase to that. And then 1% to that, 1% to that, 1% to that, 1% to that. That in a level where you're satisfied with what you're doing. Like it could be literally, hey, I'm going to pick the Quran and read one verse. Okay. The next day, one verse and 2 verses. Okay. The third day, 3 verses. Literally just that small baby achievable steps that you're taking on a daily basis to help you to get to that end level that you want to get into. And we did that yesterday when we broke down, like numbers and money. Remember that example that I gave yesterday about if you tell me I want to make $100,000, we broke it down into by 52 weeks. We broke it down into how many hours you want to work per day. I think per week, 35 hours. And we broke it down into like $55 an hour. Literally, that's the same exact thing as far as that improvement in that relationship where you want to go. But the key component is identifying where you are in this point and identifying where you want to go, right? And then asking yourself why this is such an important thing for you. Not for me, not for your parents, not for your sheikh, not for your friends, not for anyone else. It's for you, right? I want to give another dialogue, another interesting thing. I was having a conversation with one of my clients the other day about like this Ramadan being different. And this Ramadan is I'm not getting the same feel. And this Ramadan I'm missing the masjid. And this Ramadan is I'm not going to. And I said to him, I was like, you know what? It's interesting. I'm actually taking it the opposite way. And he was like, what do you mean? I said to him, I was like, you know what? In the past few Ramadans, I found myself just going with the motion. Seriously, we break our fast. We hang out with the family for a little bit. We go to the masjid because all of our friends are there. All our families are there. We pray Tarawih. We read some Quran. We go back home. We do sahur. We come back for Fajr and we do the same thing over and over and over and over again. But for me, this year, there's no friends. There's no family members. It's my relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's my discipline to do that extra page of Quran. It's my discipline to pray Tarawih 4 rak'ahs or 6 rak'ahs or 8 rak'ahs. It's my discipline. This is my relationship, because the relationship between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it's an intimate relationship that's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is another thing that I want you guys to keep in mind, like being intentional as far as that relationship, as far as nurturing that relationship, because it's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, no one else. And that's one of those things that I like. A lot of the questions that I get from a lot of clients that will say, I get very irritated when someone tell me to go pray, or someone to tell me to go do certain things. I just don't want to do it, and then I get irritated, and I agree with them, because it's again, reminders are great, but at some point if you become like nagging or forcing or someone hit, at some point you get to that level where you just don't want to do it anymore, and then at some point you just become very defiant towards your own relationship. But what you're hurting is your own relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? So thinking about that, being intentional about your intention, about what you want to do. And that's what matters, is that intention piece, right? if we do, and intention is not just prayers, by the way, you guys. And I just want to put it out there for you. Intentions in every aspect of your life. That's where the intentions is, right? If you're becoming intentional about waking up early so you can read a couple pages, becoming intentional to go to work on time. You're intentional about not cheat or not steal at work. It's intentional to go in there from 9 to 5. That's intentional. It's intentional to go out there and say hello to your neighbor. That's intentional. It's intentional for you to go out there and work on your crafts, improving your crafts. If you're a writer, if you're a rapper, if you are an artist, if you like literally going out there and put that content and spending the time, that's intention to create something that's bigger than you. That's what that intention means. And that's Islam, by the way, you guys. That intention in everything you do, that's the way of living, right? Islam is not about, like I said, praying, that those 5 times a day. I mean, it is critical. It's not about just fasting those 30 days. Because one of the things that I get as questions from a lot of different people while they go with the motion is just they don't understand why they do what they do. I read a post on Instagram about 2 or 3 weeks ago of this guy who was sharing a story in Sudan. He said he went to the masjid with a friend of his right before the Iqamah, and he literally got hopped in and he was doing wudu, and instead of doing it 3 times, like in every hand, he just did one, and he just walked in. So his friend right away stopped him and he said, yo, what are you doing? You're supposed to do it 3 times. So he said to him, well, Imam Malik said, if you're rushing to get to the masjid, you can do it once. And then his friend said, yo, battal al-kufr, and go ahead and do it 3 times. So right away, the guy who was writing the content, he took a step back and he said, you know what? At that moment, he realized that whatever that I learned in school, it was just memorization. It wasn't actually deep thinking of what that is. And to be honest with you guys, and this is something that I went through myself. It was like for years, I went through things because I wanted to go through things. Like, we prayed because everyone, we grew up praying. I read Quran during Ramadan, and that was that. And even my prayers wasn't even in, it wasn't even like on time. Like I'll come in, some days it'll be on time, some days I'll just do all of them together at the end of the day. And then sometimes like it was just literally, I'm going in there to check a box, get in there right away, do my 5 things and be done with it. There's no khushu', there's no connection, there's no spirituality, there's nothing. And I think this is one of the biggest issues that a lot of us go through at this point. Now we feel like we're rushed. Going back into what I mentioned about being tactical and breaking down your schedule, this is going to help you, and this is going to help you with that part of that khushu' part. What is it? Why do we don't do khushu' in our life, right, when we pray? Because we're rushing, right? We have a meeting, you're sitting in the meeting, you're thinking about the meeting, you're finishing your work, and then all of a sudden, time for you to pray. Sometimes it's not on time. Sometimes we wait in the last minute, and then we hop on this thing. You understand in your mind that they have a call right after this. We have to connect with this person right after this. You get into that prayer mode, and then all of a sudden, it's like you just going with the motion. Like, all right, you pray. Sometimes you don't even remember what you prayed or what you said. And sometimes, a lot of times, like I catch myself not even knowing what ayahs did I say, or did I recite, literally. And then I hop on it, get back on my call. So being tactical as far as writing things down, what this is going to help you to do is, for me right now, what's been helping me out is to allocate a block. I understand my prayer is just 15 minutes. I'm breaking down 15 minutes. That's my prayer time. I know I don't take any calls before that. And then I put myself in that mood of that prayer. The minute I finish my meeting, literally, I get up, I go in, even if I'm mutwaddi, I do my wudu, I come back in there, I sit down and do the dhikr for a few minutes, wait for the prayer to kick in. Once it kick in, I go in, I do my prayer. I mean, understanding that even after my prayer, I did not schedule anything for an additional 15 minutes. Just to give myself that peace of mind that half-hour block, it's my prayer block. And one thing that I actually learned from one of my clients, literally, and she's actually tuning in this call right now, and she literally just said that to me the other day. We were talking about, like, how do you get khushu' in your prayers? And she said to me, I learned to breathe. I'm like, that's interesting. She said, yep, I learned to breathe. And with breathing, now I'm taking my time. I'm literally inhaling in and out. So please, this is something I'd like for each and every one of you guys to try it today, right after this prayer. When you go into the Maghrib prayer, literally just be tactical as far as your breathing. Don't rush it. And just, again, you make that prayer and you breathe in and you breathe out throughout that. Take your time when that process, kicks in. And that will start to realize that you start to create that momentum, right? Going back into it. Islam, as we mentioned, that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it needs to be intentional and needs to be tactical, and it needs to be, there is, certain step that you're taking. But I want you guys to think about it. It's not black and white. Just because you missed the prayer, that doesn't mean that you go to Jahannam. And this is, I want to be honest with you. That's not how it works, right? I get a lot of times, like I get, we have workshops here all the time. And then during the prayer time, like, like it's, I think Isha time, Maghrib time, that's sometimes we have to stop. And, Maghrib time we stop, we say, guys, time for prayer. We hop on a prayer. And you have a couple people that, the last time I think we had a couple young ladies were sitting there. And I asked them, like, you guys are praying with us? And she said to me, well, I'm wearing a very tight pants and I can't. Okay. So I said to her, I was like, listen, that is a separate situation. Prayer is a separate situation. Sure, let's say you're not wearing a proper attire, but that doesn't mean that you cannot pray. Are you covered? Perfect. Covering your hair, that's what you need to do. Do your prayer, once you finish with it, and then that whole situation of the way you dressed when you prayed and all these, that's a different situation that's going to be, identified separately. But don't miss the prayer because you're not wearing a proper attire. And this is something that I think once I learned it, that became a priority. We'll be driving, for example, and I just pull over and I just pray anywhere, and that mindset of mine, it's like, okay, that's a priority and that's what blocked, right? So just because I'm driving, that doesn't mean like I cannot pray, right? And just because I'm doing this, that doesn't mean I can't do this. And just because I can't find water to pray, to do wudu, I can't do, like tayammum, literally. And that's what I meant about Islam being a very easy deen. It's a very simple, but we as human beings tend to complicate it. And that's what I want to go back to, right? When you start to see Islam from a sense of just simplify it into 1, 2, 3, what do I have to do today to be a better Muslim, right? Or just to fulfill my needs and fulfill my what I want to do. Let's say you make a comment, you know what, every day I want to pray Fajr. Perfect. That's all what it is. That's the first step into what I want to do. That doesn't mean like, okay, day one you did, and that's the expectation part. Doesn't mean like you started Fajr, now you have to do all of it. No. If that what you can at that first, master that, do it right. Then go to the next one, then go into the next one, then go to the next and create that momentum. Once you identify, you start to do all these different things consistently, then add more, then add the sunnah, then add the fasting on the day-to-day, then reading the additional Quran. If you say to me, I don't understand, I can't read Arabic, I don't understand to read the Quran, listen to it. Right? Just listen to it. Pop it on your phone and just listen to it. That's what I'm saying. Like it's not the same, but it doesn't mean like you don't get that extra hasanat, right? So that's another thing that I want you guys to constantly to think about when you go through your journey as far as improving your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Take it from that, right? If you say to me, Abdullah, I don't even have a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I don't even know where to start, right? And that was something that, to be honest with you, I don't want to say struggled with, but I did struggle with back when I was, I think, 26 year old, right? Like, I was fed up with all this, Sunni, Shia, Ahmadi, you got people like, hey, I'm Maliki, and these guys that said I'm Hanafi, and I had no understanding, literally, I had no understanding of none of them. And then all of a sudden I'm like, okay, and what actually hit me, we went into, there was a 5-year-old kid who was diagnosed with cancer here in our neighborhood, Sudanese kid, Allah yarhamu. And so I became very, very involved in that case. And I was going in there with the parents and just doing a lot of support and being there and being active and helping out. And it's just one of those things that I felt like I didn't need to do. So subhanAllah, we're going through, we bonded with the parents, and it was like young parents too. I mean, they were like, I think my age. So we bonded very well throughout that process. And subhanAllah, the kid passed away in the hospital. I was actually there in that room when that kid passed away. Very sad situation. Ended up going to the maqabir. During the maqabir, there were like 4 or 5 different fights that took place about someone say, read this ayat. The other guy said, it's haram, you don't do this. So I was so bothered by this whole process. And then we got back to his house. And I remember, well, I can't even think, there were Sudanese. So we were sitting down, just very, very sad. And we're sitting down and everyone just, talking to them and trying to comfort, and one of the guys came in and said to the dad, literally another guy jumped up and he said, well, first of all, we don't know that. And literally got super confused. And I took a step back and I said, what do you mean? It's like, no, that was a hadith da'if. Prophet never said that. No, all the people are going to go through it. So literally I looked at him and said, bro, I was like what you're doing right now, you're not helping. You're actually harming. And that's not what Islam is all about. You want to give a nasiha, there's a protocol about how you do it. But you don't allow your interpretation of the deen to come in there and hurt this person and this grieving parents. And literally, I think I left that, I left their house and I was so angry, to be honest with you, about this whole, yo, what is this? what is what is this whole like, you know, like this deen that's very harsh, that didn't, and you know, mind you, I mean, I studied psychology, like that didn't appreciate, you know, like it didn't, like I didn't appreciate the mindset of the parents and all these different aspects of things. So, and that's when I start to go back into, you know, like into like what do I truly, where do I find it, right? So I went online and I picked up the Quran, and I was like, you know what, this is a big book. I don't even know where to go with this whole thing, and this is a really tough situation. So I took it back to the basics. Literally, I took it back to the basics. What I mean by the basics, and this is something that might help some of you guys. I literally wanted to understand like who is the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, and that was the first step that I ever took. And I think this is something that's going to be very, very helpful for a lot of you. I took a step back and I just read the story because I wanted to understand that, like, who is our Prophet, his emotional intelligence. Some people said, you know, his strength, his weaknesses, what made him a unique individual to tolerate the specific risala and the specific deen. So literally I went online, I watched a couple of YouTube, I think it was like 13, 14 different like YouTube halqas, and I'm gonna send you guys the link to it. It was just an amazing, very easy, you know, talked about the Prophet, that, you know, that tribes and tribulations and what he went through, and as a person, who he is as a father, who he is as a leader, who he is as a prophet. Literally broke it down in a very simple way of doing it, and so I got really excited, right? And then the second step that after I actually learned about the Prophet, I picked up the Quran and I started to read the Quran for my own sake, right? I didn't go in there and find a sheikh, or I didn't go in there and find, you know, someone. I wanted to first gather some thoughts, gather some knowledge, and draw down some questions, then go in there and start to ask those specific questions. Because if you don't have a question, again, that goes back into that story that I gave, if you're not specific enough, you can go out there and it's easy for you to be misled. So I went in and I read it just step by step, my own interpretation, English translation, understood some of the things in there, and I drew some questions. One question, second question, third question. Then I went to the Imam in our masjid and I asked those questions. He was able to answer some, and he was able to answer some. And he said to me, you know what, maybe go talk to this guy. And that's another thing that I understood throughout my journey, that Islam, you know, no one person can give it to you all of it. And I think about it back during the Prophet times. You had individuals that their specialty was hadith. Yes, you know, people that specialty was to recite. We have some people that specialty was to memorize. And that's another thing. That's one of the biggest mistakes that we tend to find ourselves into. We tend to go to one person and ask questions about everything and anything about Islam. The proper imam and the proper individual will tell you, this is not my expertise. Go back and talk to this person who knows what he's talking about. But before you get to that level, I would like for you guys to take that step back, do your reading, and understand from a basic perspective as far as what that is, what these ayahs mean. Then write down some question. Then go back and ask those specific questionnaire, so you're able to get the proper answer there. And if the answer doesn't sit well with you, again, go to another person and ask that specific question, because that's what it's all about. That's you investing in yourself, and that's that 2 millimeter shift that I was talking about. It's not about going from 0 to 10 and going in and memorize the whole entire Quran. No, it's literally about the baby steps. But you need to do the efforts. You need to put in the efforts, and you need to put in the intention that you want to improve that specific things. Don't be led. Don't be, you know, again, like, don't go with the motion. If you understand, for example, you're having that question about wearing the hijab. I'm not a faqih, I'm not all these different things. Read about it. Read the arguments, and then if you open that up, then ask the proper question to the proper individual that know within it. And if you don't like their answers, again, you know, question that in very respectful. It's not my way or the highway. It's basically trying to gain knowledge. Once you become intentional, you become more receptive to receive that. Because sometimes right now, if I come to you and say, go pray, like right away, like, maybe, like, what are you talking about? I'm not praying. Screw you. I don't want to pray. Not for you. I want to pray for me. That's that defensive mode. But if you have that intention that you really want to actually pray, and then I come to you and say, hey, bro, let's just go pray, your receptiveness becomes a little bit different, right? The third piece that I want to cover is that proximity. And we talked about that yesterday. Proximity is power. Who you surround yourself with dictate the level of success. And that goes back into your surrounding currently, right? Sometimes we hang out with individuals that are on the same page as we are. Like, they are conflicted about so many different things. They're confused about certain things, but they have that intention to create and to change and to move forward and to be better. Great. those are the guys that will help us across, throughout the way. Because if you ask that question, you're not going to get shut down, right? For example, never drank in my life and never smoked in my life. Those are the two things. And when I did it, it was for specifically, and I want to be honest with you, when I did it, it was specifically for health reasons. I understood, I don't want to put any chemicals into my life, in my body, and that's not something I was doing. So for me, since early on in my life, I did not hang out with other people that smoke, and I did not hang out with people that drank. Just for my mindset is I want to make sure that if I decide I need someone to help me go through this journey. So that's what I would say, that I want you guys to be tactical as far as who you surround yourself with, right? If you find yourself, again, and you want to be selfish in a little bit, first work on you first, start to build that momentum. As people, we want successes. As people, we want to surround ourselves with successful people. We want to surround ourselves with people that can do it. So the minute you start to create that momentum and you become a lot more, whole as far as what you want to do and tactical as far as improving that relationship, you start to see a lot of your friends and a lot of the people around you. You want to become part of that journey. You want to become part of that success journey. But that's what I want you guys to start to think about, being tactical as far as being selective as far as who you allow in your life. I have a couple questions and we'll just continue. Give me a second here. So they said, Salam Abdul Wahab, thanks for the interesting take. Any advice on how we select our Islamic teachers? That's great. Any advice on how do we select the accurate information from the Islamic teachers? A lot of teachers just seem to point out so many imperfections into the average Western days in the day of life, which can make difficult to satisfy our own progress. 100% with you, and that's exactly what I mentioned to you. There is people that are specific, they have specific strengths and weaknesses. And as a teacher, as a preacher, as a teacher, as an imam, when you reach out to and you ask them a question about a certain topic, if they're not able, if they are honest with themselves and said to you, listen, this is not my expertise, reach out to the other person. This is the person that you want to hang out with, or you want to spend the time to talk and pick, right? So my advice to you will be, Munay, is before you select your teachers, do your due diligence as far as taking a step back and do your own reading, do your own research, and write those questions, right? And then you go out to those teachers and ask those specific teachers. And, you can go online and get some of that information. But before you get there, I think do your due diligence. Because like I said, we are a lot easier led. If you just go in there and say, all right, I'm just going to pick this guy. And you go into this guy, and then all of a sudden this guy starts talking about certain things, and this is haram, this is halal, you're going to go to Jahannam. Literally, just taking this very harsh approach into Islam itself. This is, some red flags, and so a lot of people just don't like that approach, so they will take a step back from it, and sometimes you may just drop it. I had a guy that I knew, one of my clients actually. He said to me, Abdul Wahab, and he's not Muslim, unfortunately, but he said his dad wanted to convert to Islam. So he literally got together and he went to a masjid, and the first imam that he met, he told him, okay, the minute you become Muslim, you're gonna change your name. So he said to him, well, I don't want to change my name. And he said to him, well, no, this is a must. You have to change your name. So he said that he got confused, and he said, well, but I love my name. I don't want to change my name. So it was a conflict for them day one. So he was like, screw this masjid. I'm not going to it. He left it, went to another masjid that he said that he got accepted. He went through it. But then all of a sudden he started to realize that there was a huge difference between people that were born Muslims in that society versus someone who's a convert. And he's like, I couldn't fit in. Like, all these guys will sit together, all these people will sit down together, and I'll come in there and I'll literally just sit there and just don't feel like I fit in. So after a couple months, he ended up leaving that masjid and went to a third masjid, where, African American masjid. He said we got in, and then all of a sudden we got in. I liked what I heard, and then all of a sudden they showed him a video of this imam who was married to 7 women, and I said, well, that's wrong, because that's not what it is. He's like, no, he was married to, that's his interpretation. Married to 7 women. Then all of a sudden, one person made a mistake, so they all went in there and they started hitting her with the sticks. And I'm like, yo, what kind of thing is that? And he's like, yo, I promise you, I watched that, and I said to myself, I don't want this. I don't want to associate myself with it. And he said he just left it. That was his dad. He left it. And then from his perspective, he was looking for his own journey. And literally, one of the first questions is, I can't do that. And I said to him, like, listen, don't look at people who are Muslim. Look at Muslims. Right? Go to Islam itself, go to the source. But as far as following certain individuals, before you get into that level, as far as following these individuals, taking a step back and do your due diligence as far as doing your own research and understand what that is. Like I said, And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is gonna guide you. Like make the intention that you want to go through this journey as far as understanding that. Even if you don't understand the language, learn it in English, bro. Like literally jump into it and start simplify it and read it for what it is. And if there's certain question that you don't understand, write those things down. Go into your imam and ask that question. Make it, diversify your questionnaire. Ask one about tafsir, ask one about hadith, ask one about something completely different, and just pick on your imam's perspectives. If he is jumping in and he's giving you all these different answers from all these different entities, I mean, again, I want you to just think about that and ask him that question. What are you good at, right? What did you study as an imam? Because as an imam, guess what? He took a route in this whole thing, and he'll be able to give you, hey, I studied fiqh, I studied hadith, I studied recitation, I'm a qari, I'm a hafiz. But these are the different entity of it. So do your homework, identify your questionnaire and your answers and your questions first, and then go out there and ask, and seek those particular. And if the answer doesn't sit well with you, ask another person. If they confirm your answers, great, keep moving forward. If they don't, you know what? Just keep it moving. Muhammad asked a question about, do you think sometimes we are also so impatient in a rush to get at the answers? So the Sheikh can say to us, I'm not an expert in this aspect, and we and then press the Sheikh to give us their opinion, and we take the advice that suits our desire. And that's another thing. I mean, that's a very good point that Muhammad that you bring in. We are impatient, and that's what I'm saying. It's when you think about religion and you think about improving this relationship, think it's not a race, it's a marathon, right? So marathon needs conditioning, marathon needs the proper diets, marathon needs proper training, marathon takes time. And in the end of the day, like, you want to get to the final result, like the final end of it, you have to go through the process, right? It's not about rushing. And that's why, Muhammad, when we took it back into being that intention piece, right? Being tactical about where you want to go with this whole thing, it's critical, because you put the intention that you want to improve, right? And if you don't get that answer from this particular sheikh, and if the sheikh tell you this is not my expertise, you ask him, well, where can I find that, right? That's the follow-up question. So you're not rushing the sheikh to give you that. But if that's not the case, you go back into the drawing board and you continue to work on that, right? When you think about, I really want you guys to give you another example. When you think about religion and improving relationships and strength, think about school, right? Literally think about your school. Your undergrads or your grad school, or just you just didn't walk in as a freshman to any university or college and became an expert, right? It took 4 years of lack of sleep, of discipline, of meeting deadlines, of hating your professors, of connecting with some friends, of not studying for exams, or of getting addicted to coffee, and it's that process to get to that end result, right? That's exactly what it is in life, bro. You want to become a better Muslim, you want to improve that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you have to see for what that is. College example, right? What's the end result? Graduation. Where am I? Right here. What do I know? I know these different things. What do I have to go through? I have to go through all these different. What's the intention? I'm going to be so dedicated to give it my all so I can graduate. Same thing. I want a better relationship. Where am I? Right here. Where I want to go? Improve my relationship. What do I need to do? I want to give it whatever it takes to get to that level. And that's, take a step back, do your reading, listen to podcasts, asking the proper questionnaire, going about. There's what's his name? Sheikh, what's his name? Sulaiman, Amr Sulaiman, I think that's his name. I'll send you his links. I mean, he has some very interesting series and things like that, and then he'll pick your brain and challenge your thought process in so many different ways. And it's very basic. I think he can relate. I mean, like I said, I'll send his link after this podcast. But again, doing your homework initially, doing your work, and don't expect anyone to do that work for you. There's no shortcuts. Remember, we talked about that intimacy in that relationship with you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So there's no shortcut to that, right? Same thing, so don't try to get those answers right. What are you rushing? What are you putting that time on your head? Why are you doing that, right? Enjoy the process, not the end result. Because once you enjoy the process and you go into the process and you learn and you ask the questions, and God, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to open up so many different doors for you, right? And that's what enjoying the process, mean, is having the intention and then going through the process and have fun doing it. Like I said, Islam is not about being stressed out. Islam is not about beating yourself up. Let's say you made a decision that you want to wake up for Fajr, you missed it. Don't beat yourself up for it. Guess what? Take a step back. You know what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, you know what? Probably felt like I'm so tired today and give me a break. You know, inshallah, I'll make that intention for the next day. Right? Literally, that's how that specific things, you know, about life. And that's what I want you guys to start to think. Being gentle with yourself when you go out throughout this process. And that goes back into the whole self-love. And this is something we're going to talk about in, you know, in our next, you know, couple workshops. But I want you guys to be, you know, that tactical. Hopefully that answered that question. So can we speak about how Islam is often taught to us through cultural filter, and how it's, you know, can create a toxic mentalities that people excuse in the name of religion? I agree with you 100 million trillion billion%. You absolutely right. And this is one of those dialogues. I think once you become informed, you start to question that. And this is something when I was in Sudan back in January, this is something that I did. That, you know, like, and this is something I think us as Sudanese, this is one of the biggest issues that we tend to go, we mix religion and culture, and we find ourselves getting caught up in the middle. But questioning that, that's the right way, that's the right attitude behind it. And I sit down with my parents all the time, and I pick their brain all the time. Like I said to them, hey, you know, like you guys are, you know, like growing up, you always had people over. Constantly, always had people over and things like that. Oh yeah, then Quran, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala said, like you have to be, you know, closer, the relationship with Rahim. But parents, like again, like the question that I have you guys considered our privacy in that whole concept? And they start to look at it from a sense of like, oh, we never did. Great. So that's what it is. So these are the things they start to challenge. No, this is not religion. This is culture. And in that sense of it, but we have to understand the different type of what is culture and what's considered culture and what is considered, you know, actual religion. Because that's the thing. We go with the motion and it's all mingle. It's all like just, you know, connect with each other. And I think culturally we made it to be that way. But taking a step back and being informed, doing your due diligence, doing your reading, doing your studying, and they start to challenge that, not in a very disrespectful way, but I promise you, once you start to ask those very intelligent questionnaire to your parents, to your sheikh, to your relatives, to whoever that is, they won't be able to admit to you. And like the fact that that's not religion, that's more culture. Perfect. And once you become that becomes that we both have that agreement that this is culture and this is religion. Now it's like to push through and try to help to educate them. Because I promise you, our parents and their parents and things like that, there's a lot of things that's missing in their mindset. They are engraved in, like culture was engraved in them. I mean, especially if they were born in Sudan and grew up in Sudan, all these different things. Like, you know, like Islam, like religion was taught to them from a perspective of culture. So there's no difference between the two of them. But now take a step back and asking, do your due diligence, do your research, do your studies, and ask the proper question and gain that knowledge, then go back and start to question that, not in the sense of being disrespectful, but in the sense of like educating yourself and educating them. For me, I do it in a very, and it's all about the approach, by the way, all about the approach. But for me right now, when I pick my parents' perspective, is I bring it in the sense of like, yo, did you know this? Like the other day, we were talking about the concept of having a dog in the house. And it was a very interesting, you know, topic, the different, the Malikiyas, and, you know, like all of them have different aspects of it. So literally, you know, I found like an interesting article. I did my due diligence, I read my things about it, and understood like what the Maliki is all about. And then I brought it to my parents, consider themselves Malikis. So as also the niece. So I brought it in and I said, guys, listen, oh my God, like, what do you think, you know, Imam Malik thought of, you know, having a dog in the house? And right away, he's like, oh, it's haram. Da, da, da. I was like, oh, I disagree with you. Like, well, what do you mean? Listen to this video. And they listened to the video, and they actually went in and they actually researched it. And all of a sudden it became out like they became to a conclusion like, hold on a second, like that Malikiya did not feel like, you know, like that lu'ab, the concept, like, you know, when the dog like touches, you know, a plate and things like that, they would do it just for the sake of the Prophet asked us to do it, but it doesn't, we're not doing it for the sake of being najis. Like just that concept of it. So when they saw that, like, he was literally like, oh, we did not know this. Interesting, right? The same thing about the haircuts. When they come to me and say, well, you're not supposed to be cutting this off, you know, like the different, like hair, long hair here and then have a zero here. I actually went in and I saw that and brought it to them as an article. They read that article, and then all of a sudden it's like, oh, that makes sense. So that's what I mean. You know, like not everything we hear, not everything we do, we, you know, if we just take it for what it is for face value, I think that's why we go with the motion. And that's what I want you guys to start to stop that. Take a step back and gain knowledge. Do your due diligence, do your studying, do your research, then draw down some questionnaire, then go out there and try to ask for the answer. And once you get that answer, I don't want to say challenge that, but again, just follow it with another question, follow with another question. And once it's engraved in your mind, and once you get that in your mind, you start to look, okay, now it becomes a lot easier for you to practice, and now it becomes a lot easier for you to go out there. But then again, have the intention and seek that guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Perfect. One more question. Can you share with us a memorable piece of advice that you have received that has helped you to grow closer to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, to boost iman? This is a very, very, very good question. One of my teachers actually, like early on in like when I was probably like in elementary school, and I went to school in Imarat for years, but I still remember this till today's date. I mean, he talked about it's all about the choices that we make when we think about Islam, when we think about Deen, and we think about our relationship. Because he said to me, it's like Abdul Wahab said, you choose to fast, not because he was like, it's very easy to tell the world that you're fasting if you're not, but he was like, don't lie to yourself. It's all about choices, and when you make that choice, make a choice that you are comfortable to defend, right? So think about that. He was like, they gotta be questioned about everything we do. But he was like, make sure that whatever choice that you're making, that you make a choice that you're able to defend. So if you're not able to defend it, that if you have that conflict within your own self about going through that choice, don't go through with it, right? So just that thought process as far as what that is. And there was yesterday I had actually an amazing conversation with an amazing guy last night actually after our call, and there is an ayah that I brought to him that resonated when I learned it a long time. Actually, it resonated with me, and I think it made me very like, I don't be gentle with myself when it comes to this whole Islam and making mistakes and things like that. The ayah specifically said, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم, قُلْ يَا عِبَادِيَ الَّذِينَ أَسْرَفُوا عَلَى أَنفُسِهِمْ لَا تَقْنَطُوا مِنْ رَحْمَةِ اللَّهِ إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا إِنَّهُ هُوَ الْغَفُورُ الرَّحِيمُ. What does that mean is, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, like, tell my people, like ibadi, like every person, like the Muslims and mu'mins and things like that, لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله, like, do not lose hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إِنَّ اللَّهَ يَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا. God is able, God will like forgive all of your sins. And the reason why this ayah, subhanAllah, and it resonated with me, that God didn't specify. He didn't say, بَغْفِرُ الذُّنُوبَ جَمِيعًا إِلَّا the person who drinks. I'm not going to forgive all your sin except if you smoke weed. I'm not going to bury all you do if you don't bury your parents. If literally that God said he can like literally forgive all of your sins. Very clear from the ayah. I think it's sort of the hash towards the end of it. Literally, that's what he said. All of it. So if you keep that in mind, whatever thing that you go through, whatever like phase of a relationship you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala at this point, God is saying to you, the minute you make a decision that you want to improve, I'm going to forgive all of it. Forgive all of your sin. Give you that second chance. And you don't even have to do anything, but just literally make a decision, make a commitment to yourself and to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that you want to change, you want to improve. And just literally and ask for forgiveness. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said, I got you. Like literally, when I learned that from me, it took me a step back and I said, hold on a second, like there's no implication, there's no like complication, that's how simple Deen is. We do things, we make a mistake, we ask for forgiveness, we keep moving forward as of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forgive us. And then we do it again, and 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 we do it again. So just continue with that mentality that it doesn't matter what you do and what you do in life, what you did in life. It doesn't matter what you did and what you're doing in life. If you make that intention and you make that proper decision that you want to change and you want to improve for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because genuinely you want it, not for anyone else, but just for you, you make that decision, you ask forgiveness, and guess what? It's clear. You keep moving forward. Literally. And so that's that mindset that I think is as a piece of advice that I probably have for each and every one of you guys. It doesn't matter what you go through in life. You make that decision that you want to change and you ask for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for forgiveness and you just take that step. Make the intention and take that step. Literally, and the step, it doesn't have to be like recreating. It's literally just jumping in and saying, yeah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, just forgive me for whatever that is that I did. Inshallah, I'll put my intentions into just moving forward and not do this again. Perfect. And you make a couple steps and you do it again. It's okay. Go back and do the same thing again and do it again. And just literally, it's that process, but you do it for you. So hopefully that answered that question, Mandur. So said to add to Teal, how subconsciously as you get older you tend to associate those cultural traits and religion traits. Teaching, how do you separate the two, especially if you are raised in a country that follows Islam? Sometimes being in the culture from religion. Sorry, I don't like to read out loud, but it happens when you live in a country where culture and religions are intertwined. So the answer to that question for you, to be honest with you, I was an individual that I grew up in UAE for 12 years, and then I went to Sudan for 1 year, and then I came here 20 years ago, and we've been here, since. So I feel like I grew up in three different, like culture, and I grew up in three different countries that teaching and all these different things, different. In Abu Dhabi growing up, it wasn't a lot about culture. I mean, they taught us Deen for the sake of this is Deen. And then I went into, to Sudan, and I was taught Deen from a perspective of culture. And then I came into this country with, just at some point there's no culture and there's no Deen, but we have our parents that come in there and trying to push certain things. But then you go out, add it out, the whole thing, and you go into different masjid, and you go to different things, and you start to learn Deen from a sake of Deen, like you learn just Islam for what that is. So, to be honest, I think my spirituality improved tremendously in the past, let's say 20 years as I get older. But I think being informed and questioning and challenging that question, like challenging, is this religion or is this culture? And I think doing that research and doing your due diligence as far as understanding and digging deeper into it. And I promise you guys, we have one of the most amazing tools in our life. We have our phones. Literally, we have our phones with us. So anything that you need, you can literally just dive into it and just read about it, right? And it's a lot easier for us, I think, right now versus 30 or 40 years ago, where we did not have all this information accessible to us, right? And that's what I mean about digging deeper and understand that. For me right now, I challenge things. And one of those things that's very interesting, we'll be sitting down having a conversation, and someone will say something that's very interesting to me, a very interesting topic. I'll take a step back and say to them, hold on a second, like, where did you get that? Oh yeah, this person said that. Literally, I'll just go on my phone and just say, hey, what is the story behind this? And I will get like 5, 6, 7 different things. There's some stories that's very clear. Islam Web is one of those, websites that's fair. I think it's for the most part, it's very accurate in a lot of the information that they give. So I get a lot of this information from there. And if the story doesn't make any sense and there's khilaf in it, I write it down. I go into the masjid today, I'm going to ask that question. Like, hey, what are your thoughts about this? 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 And then if he doesn't know, I'll go in, like keep digging deeper. But that's what I'm saying, like taking that and doing your homework as far as writing down what you want for the intention, for the sake of improving that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you start to find things that becomes a lot easier for you. So, all right, we have a couple more other questions here. Would you agree it's that everything is subject to interpretation and perception? For example, my name is Jihad, named after concept of jihad. The word has been stretched out into a variety of contexts. While there's divine direction regarding jihad in Quran, different interpretation that resulted in many different meanings associated with the concept based on however the individual, that's right, decided to perceive it. Is everything in Quran subject to interpretation, or the certain things that are in? This is a very amazing question as far as interpretation. But the question is, when, like, for example, when I hear the word jihad, for example, and the verses in the Quran talked about jihad in the concept of jihad, like in war and all these different things, I take it from a different perspective. I take it from a sense of, jihad is jihad in nafs, like you trying to work on you to improve those hardships, right? So when you think about the interpretation, you're absolutely right. Like how you interpret, and then from an Islamic standpoint, from a basic perspective, it's that easy. That ease that we talked about. Islam is simple. So why complicate it? So why, like when you start to hear this, for example, as far as interpretation, you read about it, right? But you read about it from a sense of like looking at it from a different perspective, as far as how are you like jahid your nafs on a daily basis to wake up early? How are you jahid your nafs to deal with people that you don't want to deal with? How do you jahid your nafs to study and to become better, to improve your life, to improve yourself? How do you jihad your nafs to become, like a better Muslim, a better entrepreneur, a better businessman, a better neighbor, a better father, a better brother, a better sister. Literally, this is the jihad that I see. It's the efforts that we put in, because jihad is, if you go back into the Arabic translation of it, it's literally translating of the efforts that we tend to put in into accomplishing something. That's juhud, and it comes from juhud, ta'ab, right? So that's what it is. So when you think about the interpretation of it, you dig deeper into the Arab and the Arabic, concept of it. You read what that is, do your homework from that sense, and then you go out there and you see it from your day to day. It's not the big picture. You want to look at it from a micro perspective, not a macro perspective. How are you doing on a daily basis? And that's what I tell people. Like, before we start to think about it from a bigger picture, look deep down into your own self, right? How is your relationship with your brothers and sisters? How's your relationship with your teacher? How are you doing in school? Do you steal? Do you lie? Do you cheat? Do you do these things that you're not supposed to do? Literally, that's what Islam is all about. It's those small baby steps to improve that. If you have a brother or sister or a friend that you haven't talked to in 3 years, that's a problem, right? It's not about fixing the world. It's about fixing ourselves within. And that starts by us doing our homework and enjoying the process and not seriously worrying about the end result. I had a call really about 3-4 hours before I went to the river with this amazing person who's actually also on the call today. And she said to me, it's like, hey, I had a conversation with one of my friends that, going through something. And, my friend said she wanted her space, but she continued to push, and then, we got into this huge conflict, and I became upset, and I said some things to her, and she became mad at me. And, and I don't know what to do to her. So literally my question to her was like, what you're doing right now is the right thing for you to actually admit to your wrongdoing, to process what you did wrong, and to take a step. So I was like, what do you think you should do? And literally her answer was like, apologize. That's it. That's the answer. It seems hard because we put our ego, we put all these different things into perspective, but Islam it's literally just about that, right? It's about taking a step, processing and thinking and reflecting on what we go through on a daily basis and being intentional. Everything that we should be doing, being intentional for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And that's the best part about it. We went to the river today. I took my kids and my wife for, the intention behind it is to spend the time with the family. The intention of it is to reflect back on this thing, to be grateful for the opportunity, to get out of this whole gunk of just being quarantined for the past 9-10 different days. So literally, I had 7-8 different things, that intentions behind this trip. And I said, let's go for it. Not just good for me, it's good also for others, which is my family, my kids, and everyone around us. And then it serve a bigger purpose, which is, those different intentions that I made. And if I ask my wife what are her intentions behind it, she will probably list 4 or 5 different things. If I ask my kids about what their intentions behind this trip, they will list different things. End of the day, this is life. We see Islam, or we see our intention from our own, from our own vision, from our own eyes. And that's why I want you guys to be very intentional as far as what you want to do to strengthen that relationship with Allah. There's no such a thing as my relationship with Allah is not existence. There's no such a thing as that. You always had that existence, right? If you find yourself getting stressed out, making that dua. If you find yourself not, if you're literally, having hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to do something for you, even if you haven't prayed in months, in years, in decades. I know people that haven't prayed in 10, 15 years. This is a true story. One of my really good friends, he's a heart surgeon in Kansas. And he was married to a Caucasian woman who grew up in Saudi. So her dad was into into oil. So they grew up there, and he married her. And and so they came here, after that, and they got married. They lived there. Amazing guy. And so he said that they are the only Muslim family in their whole entire family. So he said that, and he was telling me that they have an uncle who was just on his case on daily basis. He's like, every time I see this guy, he's making fun of me, he's making fun of Islam, he's making fun of the way I dress, the way I talk things, the way I do things. And he was like, Wallahi, I became not even want to hang out with him, but I know that's Salat Rahim, and I have to do it for her, for the sake of this family. I want to be there for her. So, and the guy is old, he's not a young guy. So he said, SubhanAllah, we had dinner one day, I think during Thanksgiving, and the uncle stood up, and he was just talking so much garbage about Islam, about hey, so if you die, you're gonna get 4 women, go to Hurain, 17 of them, what's gonna happen, who are you gonna pick? Are you gonna pick her? Are you gonna pick your wife? Literally, he was he made me very uncomfortable. And I stood up and I said, you know what, guys, you know what, thank you so much for the invite. And I'm taking a step back, and I just left. And then he was like, he came to me and he apologized about it, but then he was start talking about like him being a healthy guy. I mean, I'm 70-something years old and I got my heart. And so he was like just an interesting guy from all over the place. He's like, fast forward. He's like 2 weeks later, he gave me a call and he said to me, he's like, yo, where are you? He's like, I'm at the hospital. He's like, I would like to come and see you. He said the guy came up to me and we were sitting down and he said to him, listen, I just want to share something with you. I haven't shared with anyone else. And you're the first person to tell. I just got a call from my doctor and the doctor told him that he has stage 4 cancer, the uncle guy. And so he said, I was shocked. I was like being very sympathetic. I'm trying to just be supportive to him. And he told him, like, listen, I want to become Muslim. He was like, literally, I got like shocked. He was like, hold on, what? He's like, yeah, you want to go? I want to become Muslim. So the guy was like, are you sure? He's like, yeah, and I want to do it like now. He's like, so how like literally, I took him like to the house. I asked him to like take a shower. He did, and then we went straight to the masjid. And the guy literally like he did his shahada, and got a couple more like books and things like that. He was like, Abdullah was like, not even like a week later, this guy's passed away. So you look back at this thing, and he was like, this is a guy that dakhal fil Islam before even praying like one rak'ah, and it's a true story. And it's like, you think about this, and he said, hold on a second, like, who am I to start to judge? Like, is this guy gonna go to Jannah or not? Like right away, I think I told this story to one person. Right away, he's like, oh no, like that, his intentions are to get there because he knows he's gonna die. I was like, no, his intentions is between him and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That's what it is. I mean, and I understood Islam in the sense of like any person that said la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah and he was very sincere about it, it's gonna go to Jannah. That's Islam to me, right? So for this person to ashhad in la ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah before he passed away, for me that's great news. And who am I to judge him, right? I'm excited for him, good for him, and inshallah subhanahu wa ta'ala make it easy for him and go him to Jannah. So that's the intention. Like, a lot of times like people say, well, I don't have a relationship. I don't know where to start. I messed up my relationship with Allah. I don't even know how to go back. My answer to that is like, just don't stop. Just stop what you're doing. Make an intention, make that intention that you really want to improve and do it now. Like literally just jump on it. If you feel like, yo, I don't know what I'm doing, go and pray a couple of rak'ahs. That's it. That's when he started doing those couple of rak'ahs. Don't forget to breathe and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he just to guide you. That's it. That's what Islam is all about. Islam is not about the technical. It's not the lihya. It's not about like wearing the hijab. It's not about. I mean, it's not about all of this. It's about the intentions and it's about the al-af'al, about the doing, about what you're doing. Islam is about being great to your parents. Islam about taking care of your kids. Islam about having a good relationship, having a good community. Islam is about when you see something wrong, you say something about it. Islam is about giving someone as a nasiha. Islam is about when you see something that you can't just keep your mouth shut. Islam about not talking bad about other people behind their back. Islam is not Islam is about praying. Islam is not about giving, seeing that homeless person, giving that extra money. It's not about reading Quran. That's what Islam is. It's a lifestyle. It's not about like just that life, that setup. Like, yeah, I have to do this, then I have to go in and grow a beard and wear short pants and start to just dedicate my whole entire life in the masjid. That's not what Islam is about. Islam is about balance in your life, in every aspect of it. And when you take each and every aspect of your life and master it for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that's how you reach the higher relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Because that's all what he asks us to do, is to literally be intentional for the sake of Allah subhanahu and be patient with ourselves at first. He's there. I mean, you think about it just from all levels and all the things that we go through in our lives. Like we find ourselves in very dark places and very tough times and all these different things. And all of a sudden, like, we surpass that, we go through that, right? And that's Islam. Like literally, when you start to dig deeper in the Quran and the concept of everything we go through in our lives, like that's that. There's no such a thing as a coincidence, by the way. And I actually had that conversation last night. There's no such a thing as a coincidence. Everything happening to us in life is by design. Like it meant for me to be sitting here talking to you right now, at this moment, at this second. And it's meant for you to be holding that pen and paper and writing that thing that you're writing down right now at this moment, at this second. There's no such a thing as a coincidence, guys. And this is what I want you guys to be. Like, sometimes you say to me, well, I didn't pray for years. Maybe you weren't ready to pray a year ago. Maybe you're ready now, right? I didn't fast Ramadan. It's okay. Maybe, guess what? Maybe you weren't ready back then, but you're ready now. And it's okay. Go for it. Make that intention and go do it, Like, don't wait for tomorrow. Like right now, like let's say you haven't prayed all day long, Guess what? Maghrib is recommend, pray Maghrib. That's it. That's all you do. And make that intention. Ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for guidance and help you become better. And then that 2 millimeter shift every day, just in case that 1% of that 2 millimeter. That's it. You don't have to change your life, upside down. No, don't do that. Because that's that fear that kick in. Oh, I don't know how to change. I don't want to change because I don't want to find myself in these different, because I don't know what to do and I don't know what to expect. I don't know if my friend's gonna leave. I don't know my wife is gonna leave. I don't think. No, that's not it. Do it for you. Like literally, be intentional and do it for you. All right, one more question. How much should we rely on our intuition when navigating our relationship in our Islam? It's a good question. Like if something doesn't sit right with us in our deen, we have the responsibility to investigate that. But often we don't have the confidence to listen to our intuition, and maybe you don't think that we are knowledgeable enough. That's actually a very good question, Muhammad. The concept of listening to your intuition, and that's what I'm saying, don't do things that you're not able to defend, because you are going to be questioned about that, right? So if your intuition, for example, if you know what you're doing is wrong, right, and that's what intuition is kicking you to do and forcing you to do, it's the $1 million question for you to sit down and write down, like, what is the fear? Is the fear that to find out like that you're doing wrong? You know you're doing wrong, and that's what I'm saying. Like it's once you become, it's all about you and becoming intentional. And there's the honesty as far as that nourishing that relationship, things becomes a lot easier and a lot clearer. That example of getting that car, remember, it's all about clear vision. Guess what? You know what you do. Like the only two people that know, not people, like the only two people that know what you're doing in life is you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Literally. I can literally go in there at night and pretend that I'm reading the Quran, but I know deep inside of my heart that I'm not doing it. I know if I'm, I do a class in my prayers or not. I know if I cheated on my taxes this year or I didn't. I know if I didn't go to work and I added those additional hours or I didn't. I know if there was Ramadan and I ate, took a couple bites, if I smoked that cigarette, if I did these different things, I know it. So that's what I'm saying. A lot of times that we go with the motion and try to just put it in that back burner and not think about it, but we know what we're doing. And that goes back into what we talked about earlier, those choices. We have a choice to make, guys. Like literally, we have a choice to make. We are in control of our own choices. I can literally right here, like say, all right, guys, listen, Maghrib is here, I'm gonna go in and pray. Or I can just say, I'm not. It's a choice we're making. I can make a choice that, I can pray with no wudu, or I can don't. I can choose to be nice to my neighbor and go in and do Ramadan and give him something, or I don't. I can choose to go online and advocate and help other people and donate that $1 or $2 or $3 or I choose not to. It's the choices that we're making. And not making a choice is a choice. You see what I'm saying? You actually said that yesterday. So that's what I'm saying. Like you rely on your intuitions because we have to be honest with ourselves first. And it's not about being knowledgeable enough. If we do our due diligence and do our homework first and study that first, then we'll be able to make a calculated decision. We weren't born like knowledgeable, right? Like some of us are some of you guys are engineers and some of you guys are like, you weren't born engineer, right? You weren't born that. You were born to do certain things. You learned that, and you went through it, and you spent just sleepless nights and asked the questions and got the professor and your friends and you referenced it. You wrote the papers. You hated the professors and you took their test and you passed it. And you went back and that's what you did. You put in the work. And so that's what I mean about that. Like once you start to have that relationship and your Islam and you start to question that and you start to navigate that and intuition and you deep in your heart say something is wrong, something is wrong. You follow that intuition. I had a conversation yesterday and the young guy just like literally blew my mind. He was at a position working for a great company, making great money, doing amazing things. And then it was a conflict. The revolution happened, and then found a conflict within his employer and where he stands, morally and emotionally, and just that conflict. So he made a conscious decision that I'm gonna go with my intuition. Working for this employer who's doing all these different things is not the right thing for me. Took the step away from it. Commanded for that. Take my hat off for that. That's what we do. We follow the intuitions. If we feel it's wrong, right? And if we feel it's right, and get that guidance, we keep pushing forward. But you know better. You know best. And listen, you know yourself. more than anyone else. And that's why I wanted to make sure that you understand that you make it about you. Constantly make it about you. It's that relationship that you have with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, now about no one else. No one else. Like literally, was it 3 days ago? I had khatma, alhamdulillah, 3 days ago. And not because, like I started the Quran from the beginning, because I was reading Quran before, and then all of a sudden, Ramadan kicked in. I didn't stop from the beginning. I just continued with my routine. And then I ended up finishing, alhamdulillah, 3 days ago. So I called in, my parents, and we did a virtual, khatma. And literally one of the questions, my brother said, oh my God, Ramadan just started. How did you finish this whole thing right away? Literally, I mean, all he doesn't know, because that's that relationship between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? That's my efforts. You guys know about it right now, but he didn't know. In his mind, no, Ramadan get in, this guy put in some efforts and put all these different things, and he finished it. But that's what I want you guys to make the relationship, that intimacy between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Do it for you, for the sake of getting that reward, and don't do something that you cannot defend. All right. Any other question? Let me see the question here. Any questions? Have you heard about the dark night of the soul, where you have been forced to transit from a conscious to another conscious, like awakening? The transition is really painful. How to keep oneself balanced while this transition? Amanda, do you mind just asking that? Do you mind asking that question? Because I was trying to understand what you're saying. Can you maybe just unmute yourself and ask that question? That'd be great, if you don't mind.
Hi, how are you?
Alhamdulillah, great. Assalamu alaikum.
Well, it's a transition in your life where you are thinking about, you've been raised to think about certain, culturally to think about life in a certain way, but suddenly you had this awakening that, okay, this is all wrong. Life is more than that. So you realize that you need to find yourself maybe in the process, and then you are you have been transited from one situation to another situation, from one energy to another energy. So you change the people surround you, you change your lifestyle. So this process is really painful, and how to keep balance while doing that. That's it.
Hello. Now, that's a very good question to me. Thank you so much for asking it. The concept that you said something here that I'm going to respectfully disagree with, when you realize that everything you were doing was wrong. Everything you were doing wasn't wrong. And that's what I'm saying. I want you to make sure that, that it's shifting. It's not about going 180 degrees. It's not literally you were kafir or kafir and then you became Muslim. It's never that, literally. So you got to be gentle with yourself. Again, being very gentle with yourself, that will help you to go through this process. Once you identify that some of the things that you were doing and some of the things that you've been taught and some of the things that you were doing is not the right things. Again, remember what I just mentioned earlier about maybe last year or the year before, an hour ago, 2 hours ago, you weren't ready to receive that specific information, right? And sometimes you hear the same thing over and over and over and over and over again, and then you decide not to do anything about it. And so you get to that moment when you decide, you know what? No, I'm done with this. I'm going to make some changes in my life. This is the moment that I want you to embrace and cherish and pat yourself back, for it. Because guess what? It is a painful transition, but you do it for you, right? So once you start to evaluate, right? You start to evaluate your life in a sense of okay, now I have this awakening. Now some of the things that I've been doing is great. But guess what? Everything you went through in life, and we talked about everything being intentional, everything you went through in life is preparing you for that specific moment. The ups and downs, the disappointments, the hardship, the whatever that is, the confusion, the darkness, the coming back out of it, it's all preparation to put you in a position that when you're ready to take on that path. And sometimes when you get to that awakening, guess what? Keeping it in mind, keep in your mind that you are ready. I'm giving this, it's a sign from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that I need to move forward. Perfect. Now let's check my life. Now let me see, let me evaluate. Now we talked about 6 different areas in my life. Not just improving that relationship, Let's how can we incorporate that being part in everything that I do in life, right? You pull back in your journal and you write down your schedule and you say, all right, these are my time. Here's what I need to do. This friend of mine is very negative. Energy is terrible and things like that. Guess what? Is this person going to be able to help me throughout this phase? No, perfect. You know, guess what? You don't need to cut them off and be nasty and mean. No. You know what? They just take that back burner. Keep moving. The more you start to add more proximity, more individual into your life that will help you grow, guess what? You start to not have time for everyone else. And they'll get the message. And guess what? They'll be stuck. They'll do what they need to do. They'll just have their fun and do what they need to do while you continue to grow. So that's the biggest thing. You know, not like associate that everything you've done in life is wrong, because it's not the case. Everything you've done in life is literally a preparation to put you in a position. And, you know, and like I said, I hear this a lot from a lot of people. They said, well, I heard this before, but I didn't do anything. You weren't ready. It's okay. It's literally okay. You weren't ready to get to it. The minute you are ready and you're making that commitment, that genuine commitment that you want to shift and you want to change, you take that step. And you ask Allah for guidance throughout. Ask Allah for guidance to show you the proper people in your life that you want to keep and the people that they need to go. He will. Literally, he will. Because now you're becoming sincere and that relationship is taking a different route between you and everything that you've ever done. So that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala becomes different. So that'll be my advice. Like literally don't be too hard on yourself. Where you at this point, it's literally, it's a you being prepared for this moment. So be okay with who you are at this moment. Make some conscious decisions that you wanted to improve. Be genuine about it and ask guidance from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and then take that route. And be okay with that, because every decision that you're making from now on, it becomes a lot more, guided, and you take it. And guess what? You make a couple steps forward, 10 steps back. It's okay. Because guess what? You needed to take those steps forward and 10 steps back to be ready again. And you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again, and you do it again. And that's the process. That's what we talked about earlier. Not worried about the end result, worried about the process, the growth that we go through it. Because guess what? Like you take a couple steps back, you understand. Guess what? Next time we go around this thing, like for example, like, you make a decision that you want to wake up early and you don't, you miss it. Now you start to say, you know what? Maybe I need an alarm. I'm buying an alarm system. Boom. That's the solution that I need. Or maybe, you know what? I'm going to talk to my friend who's a proximity. I'm going to tell him or tell her to call me every morning at this time to wake me up. Perfect. That's a solution. Now you start to make that momentum again. But if you did not test and taste that, how great this thing is, then took a couple steps back, you're not going to be able to keep moving forward. So cherish failure. Enjoy that. Embrace it. Because guess what? It's only preparing you for this moment to move forward. Hopefully that answered that question. Another question says, do you think that sometimes we don't think Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can forgive us because we haven't been able to forgive ourselves? This is actually amazing, and you hit it. That exactly goes in with that relationship with ourselves. And just guys, I want to be honest with you. If you don't, again, no one can love you more than you. Just to put it out there for you. No one can love you more than you do. And no one can respect you more than you do. And no one can forgive you more than you do. And so I put that in mind, right? Because we're expecting, if you don't respect yourself and love yourself, how do you expect other people to do it? If you don't love yourself properly, how do you expect other people to love you? If you don't forgive yourself, how do you expect other people to forgive you? How do you expect Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive you? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to forgive you regardless, but you as an individual need to be gentle with who you truly are. Accept you for who you are. Literally, we all are human. We have strength, we have weaknesses. We make mistakes, we make great things. Take the mistakes, understand it, and embrace your strength and weaknesses and keep moving forward. Things that you identify as a mistake or something as a weakness, I don't want to call it a mistake, identify it as a weakness, work on it. Work on it. You go to school, you take different classes, right? Let's say you love history and you love, English and you love, but you hate biology. But you need biology to graduate. Guess what? You will work on it. You'll get a tutor. You go through. You'll spend the nights. You go in there. You study. You think about it differently. You ask for help. You find a way to get it. Literally, that's what life is all about. You have to learn to be gentle with you. There's a weakness. Work on it to improve it and spend the time. And again, it's not a race. Don't put a timeline into like, I have to master this by this time. No. Each one of us is on a separate journey. Each one of us is on a separate path. And that's even in a relationship. We're going to talk about this in 3 days when we talk about the relationship between you and your partner. each one of us should work on themselves and improve yourself and cherish yourself and nurture yourself and love yourself. And then together you work on improving that relationship. Remember that. Like if you don't have it, you can't give it. So work on you, invest on yourself first, to work on yourself and being gentle with yourself. One simple thing, treat yourself the same way you treat your best friend. Treat yourself the same way you want to be treated. Treat yourself the same way you treat your parents or your brother or your sister, the one that you love, you have so much love and respect for. Literally, that's what it is. And that's how you become easy with yourself. That's how you become gentle with yourself. Wallahi, guys, I want to be honest with you. I'm one of those individuals that I'm very gentle with myself. I choose what I say to myself. I even choose what I say to myself. I'll never curse myself out. I'll never beat myself up. I'll never call myself names. Never. Because I do acknowledge that it's me who put me in this position. Now I need to be calm, taking a step backward so I can continue to move forward. So literally, I would sit there like, and someone actually said that to me the other day. I dropped my phone, literally dropped my phone, shattered my screen. Everyone is freaked out, like, oh my God, this is gonna cost you money. Literally, I looked at it, I was like, all right, okay, all right, shalom. It's for a reason, shattered for a particular reason. I don't know what the reason is, but shalom. Next time, you know what? I'll become very gentle when I fix this and I keep moving forward. And they all looked at me, I was so confused, like dude, like, you're not gonna be upset. Like, what's the point of being upset? How is that gonna fix my screen back? You'll never do. So what's the point of being hard on yourself? To improve? Great, there's other methods. As a kid, we hated when parents came in and yelled at us and hit us and screamed at us and did all these different things. So why do you do this to yourself, right? If I come to you right now and say, hey, I'm going to the prayer, you wanna come with me? Versus, yo, get up and pray. It's all about the approach, right? Most likely you might go, you know what, you're going to pray, bro, I'm gonna go with you. Versus, oh, nah, who are you to tell me this? Exactly. So think about it from that sense. Love yourself and continue to push yourself and nurture yourself and be gentle with yourself, guys. When it comes to this, when it comes to Islam, when it comes to deen, when it comes to your relationship, literally, I'll make an intention that I want to fast the next day. And then I'll go to bed, and then I'll wake up for suhoor, and I don't fast. Literally, I'll go in there and then people are like, oh, ma sa'im al-layla. It's okay. I know, it's okay. I don't need to prove anything to anybody. You know, that's between me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and that's our relationship. So no one should ever get into the middle of it and trying to push in a certain way. So just keeping that in mind. A question from YouTube: what can we do when someone prioritizes culture and then religion? It's very stressful for me dealing with a certain situation. I think we talked about that briefly yesterday. Like identifying who that person is. And I think if I'm reading it right, I think I'm talking about parents, most likely. And what it is with parents, I mean, it's they get to a certain, like when you dig deeper into parents and trying to understand like their needs and wants and why they have priorities as far as culture versus religion, there's fear in there, by the way. And if you spend the time to try to process that, never like hit them right away, like you're wrong and you're right and all these different things. Relax. It's all about the approach. It's all about taking this process and questioning. And for me, like subhanAllah, and my relationship with my parents improved, alhamdulillah, tremendously, because I started to question, because I started to pick their brain, before I started to challenge them, just in a mindset as far as trying to take them from one place to another. And I was able to get to that level because it's that approach. I'll never argue with them. There are certain areas that they're just hot about it. No problem. It's cool. It's got it. You got it. Perfect. I'll take a step back and I'll pick my battle. But there's sometimes when I find them calm and things, I start to ask these questions. Mom, hey, when we did this and all these different things, that wasn't Islam, right? No, it wasn't. It was culture and thing. Okay, great. Okay, just literally planting these seeds in their minds and just leave it. That's it. They will take a step back and they will marinate. And when the same situation happened again, they might do it again and they might do it again and they might do it again. And then after a little bit, they'll get the point. So it's all about improving that relationship, improving that communication with your parents or whoever that person is. And start to, but you need to come to a conclusion where you did your homework and you understand the difference between Islam and culture. Because a lot of times we jump into conclusions and trying to say, well, this is what Islam never said that. Did you do your homework? If you didn't, it's on you. So take a step back, do your homework, do your research, and then come back. And it's all about the approach. So when you think about approach, it's not just approach how you approach yourself, it's about how you approach others, how you approach everyone around you. Because Islam is not, like I said, it's not just doing, it's a way of living. And you start to force that. And you don't have to come in there and force people to do things. No, worry about yourself first. Master that first. And then lead by example. I was in a position, alhamdulillah, where, running companies, and it was, time will be in a meeting and things like that, and my alarm will go off as far as my time for prayer. Literally, I was like, guys, listen, we'll take a 15 minutes break. And they'll look at me like, why? Time for me to pray. Okay, I'll go in and pray and then come back and then we'll continue our meetings and things like that. Then like first Ramadan will come in and people come in and bring in their food and things like that. First year, second year, and I don't eat. Wallahi, guys, I never said anything. Then all of a sudden, I start to see them not bringing their food to the office. Why? Because they want to make sure that they don't like bring food while I'm there. So that's leading by example. That's just you being intentional as far as what you do. And you don't have to ask anybody. You don't have to command things. You just do the things. And then all of a sudden, these people become curious. Because this is one of those things that I see a lot of people like, yo, I want to become, when I become Muslim now, it's on me. It's my responsibility to go out there and spread it. No, master what you're doing. When it comes to that deen and lead by example, it's just simple things. You found money on the floor, someone dropped it. Instead of taking it, yo, you dropped your money, brother, take that. Why? Well, thank you so much. Oh, you could have took it. No, my deen doesn't allow me to do it. I have to be honest. Literally, that's it. That's that impact. And it happened to me a couple of times. Driving my car in the middle of the night, I see someone on the road just literally waving. I don't recommend this a lot because it's just different cities and different things and safety and all this stuff. And I picked the guy one time. And we're very grateful. And he was like, yo, I've been here for 4 hours. Like, no one wants to stop for me. You can drop me off. He's like, why do you stop for me? And I said, dude, I'm a Muslim. I mean, that's something that just our religion is asking me to do. And, helping each other, someone in need. Dropped him off. Wallahi, the guy's like, was tearing up by the time I dropped him off. Exchange numbers and just move on. So that's what I'm saying. Like, it's just, sometimes it just work on yourself and do it because that's what you want to do. Not because society is forcing you to do, not because culture wants you to, not because parents want you to do it, not because anybody wants you to do it. Don't go with the motion. Do your homework, do your due diligence, and then have the conversation in a very respectful way. Not to challenge things, but because your intentions is to improve that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you improve the relationship with everyone, because improving the relationship with everyone, that's improving the relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as well. As Ahmed Ali said, I feel proximity is power also applies to this in some way. Surrounding yourself with friends that remind you of Allah makes your relationship with Him more powerful. I agree with you, wallahi, bro, 100%. Proximity is power when it comes to His peace. I had a group of friends of mine that at some point, called and said, Abdul Wahab, listen, we wanted to start just to recite Surah Al-Baqarah. That's it. Every day we just virtually hop on it, we just start to read. Said, all right, like 5 of us decided, let's just do that for this recitation. Jumped on it, we start to read. Like, yeah, subhanAllah, we built that bond. Then all of a sudden, these guys are saying, guys, listen, we finished Al-Baqarah, how about we start memorizing it? I'm like, okay, that's a challenge, that's a great challenge. But having that group of minds, so every Sunday we go in, we pray, we meet together, and we literally start to just memorize, like, I think a page. That's what we pushed ourselves to do. And subhanAllah, guys, like within like 42 weeks almost, like we finished with the Baqarah. And it was one of those things that I look back and I said, guys, wallahi, if it wasn't for you guys as a proximity, they're helping me, walking me through this. Like, this is like, it would be something that's very difficult. But it was just like, we just started. Wallahi, I still remember this as yesterday. We just took a step. And then 42 weeks later, like, yo, we finished that. We finished that in Baqarah. I'm like, yo, this is exciting. So proximity is power. Jumping in and surrounding yourself with individuals that will help you, to guide you, to walk with you is critical. And then sometimes you gotta surround yourself with people that they're not ready to change. It's okay. You don't have to go out there and change them, but be selfish and work on you to improve you. And I promise you, people love winners. The minute you start to win and you start to move forward, you're gonna start finding yourself becoming one to become part of your circle. So I'm going to ask, how do we explain jihad to non-Muslims, especially jihad in life? Literally what I just mentioned earlier. I mean, jihad, comes in from the word Arabic, juhud, which is stop. It's literally just, like fighting yourself to do better, or like just to engage in that sense. So, jihad, and to be honest with you, when you think about it from a non-Muslim perspective, one of the biggest things that I advise all of them, just read. I mean, I'll tell them, yo, go to the Quran and read about it. Because sometimes like we find that we are obligated to answer questions that we find ourselves getting caught up on, and then give the wrong answers and do the wrong things. No, I mean, it's the simplest thing. Just trying to explain it. Just jihad just mean like jihad your nafs, to do better as an individual, to improve what you do in life, to have balance in life, to do well, to improve yourself, to improve your family, to improve your community, to keep moving forward. That's what jihad is all about. That's part of it. I mean, there's different parts of it. But if they keep digging, I mean, I think I question their intentions of why they're asking that question, right? That's the $1 million question. If they say, oh, yeah, it's like, dude, do you see me as an individual picking a sword or a knife and trying to kill people? No, I don't. Great. So why you ask that question? And you want to read about Islam? Here's the message. Like literally, here's a Quran. Go read about it. And that's the good point about it. Just literally putting it back to them as far as answer it from a sense of every person get Islam from a different perspective. But if you haven't done your homework, if you haven't done your studying and your questionnaire and you dig deeper into what that is all about, it becomes a lot difficult for you to give any answers. Because and again, sometimes we feel obligated to answer every person and everyone. No, we don't. If you don't know the answer, just send it back. Literally send it back. Like, yo, here's a Quran. Literally read about it. It's okay. Read about it in English, read the translation. If you have questions, have your own question, write them down and let them question that. So it's literally just that from that sense. One more question. I got easily distracted when I'm praying and my mind wanders and I don't know how to fix this problem. We talked about that earlier. Like becoming intentional and allocate a specific time for your prayers, right? So, and then put yourself in the mood to pray. Right? Like you going in there, even if you have wudu, do that wudu, come back in there, do adhkar before you get into it. Think about what ayahs do you want to read. Literally become intentional. Get your muslaya, do the sajada, sit there in there for a few minutes, do the adhan first, and then do the iqamah part, and then go through with it, and then breathe. This is gonna help you. I promise it's gonna help you. Literally take your time and just continue to breathe. Allahu Akbar. Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim. Take your time. Literally, that's what I mean about it. And breathe throughout the process. And again, in that mindset, even if you start to wander around, remember, like there's nothing going on for you. You have this moment. You own in this moment, and you go through with that specific moment. This is between you and Allah. And literally, when you start to dig deeper into this, it's all about the relationship that you have between you and Allah. And when you do it, you're just doing it. And you ask yourself that question afterwards: Why am I praying? Is it to check a box, literally just to tell people that I prayed, or is it to improve that relationship? That's the why. That's the proper why. And you only have that answer to it. If your answer is to improve that relationship, and if my answer is to get a better things, if for me to get some answers, and for me, by the way, I pray to get answers. I want to be honest with you. I pray to get answers. I pray to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for certain things that I need in life, for guidance, for everything, every step of the way, everything that I do in life. I'm praying to ask Allah for that. And then I read Quran, and subhanallah, subhanallah, subhanallah. Sometimes you read verses or you hear some verses that's relatable to everything all the questions that I ask. And it's my own interpretation of it. And subhanallah, that's how I make a lot of decisions in my life. That's what I do prayers. I mean, I know it's a must, but this is something. So I enjoy the prayer process for me to ask Allah for whatever that is that I want, because it's that relationship that I have with Him. No one else is there. No one else needs to know about this, and no one needs to know about that relationship that I have with Him, because I'm genuine and I ask about anything and everything. I ask Him about money, ask Him about success, ask Him about relationship, questionnaire, guidance, whatever that is that I want that I don't know, I ask that question. And right away when I pick up my Quran and start to read, wallahi, subhanAllah, guys, it's just interesting. You find the answers based on your interpretation. You just read an ayah and all of a sudden it's like, that's a thought. That's an interesting thought. Maybe that's what it is. And you make that decision. So ask yourself, why do you pray? That's a $1 million question. Dig deeper into it. And once you become intentional, allocate that time throughout your day about this is the time for me, and then breathe while you do it and try it out. See, and let me know how that goes. Perfect. Any other questions? Amr said, after growing in the UAE my whole life, then left to Belgium and made an atheist friend, who just, thought all religion is stupid. But the issue is I couldn't say anything back because I realized he probably knows more about it than me, which made me realize that I have not had, the pride in it, especially that, that was happening around peak. And I get that. I definitely get that, brother. And I feel you. And you're absolutely right. Sometimes like some of these discussions, like becoming intentional, but I think maybe this particular moment, it's gonna help you to take a step back to work on you to improve that. That might be the purpose behind it, meeting that guy. You know what I'm saying? Like, and asking that question and say, you know what, hey, I'm lacking a little bit few things. Maybe I need to dig deeper into the things that I know, and just jump into that and improve that and cherish that and improve that specific thing within you. And don't do it for him, do it for you. because maybe he meant to be in your life, to run into your life, to give you that realization that, yes, I need to improve that. Yes, I need to work on me to be a better Muslim, to have that better relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Literally, that's probably what it is. Perfect. Let me see any more questions. As Muslims, we are constantly told to talk to Allah, cry about our pains, our sins, our struggles. How do we improve our communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and how do we put ourselves in the mindset to sit and have a conversation with Allah? I think the biggest thing, that's a very good question, Hadid, but literally a really good question. And I think I mentioned that briefly. It's asking, I think, asking ourselves, do we really want to improve that relationship? Just dig deeper into that. Do we really want to improve that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and become better Muslims? If the answer is yes, then we ask ourselves why we want to do that, right? And then get the answers that work for you, right? And once you become like conscious about why you should improve that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, because He got you, He's your creator, He got you everything you need, this is the hope that you have. I mean, whatever that is, that relationship that you have with Him, then you improve the communication by just doing it. Allocating the time, literally allocate the time. One of the most powerful exercises, subhanAllah, once I started getting into it, I became addicted to it. I'm up at 4 o'clock in the morning. And that time, there's time, hour of power, I do my things, my thinking, my processing thing. And there's a part in it where I pray, my qiyam. That's on a daily basis. Alhamdulillah. And one of the things, it's that time, like that, because I'm a believer that I read some few verses that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the first sama during the last part of the layl. Something after I read that, I said, whoa, like if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to be there, I really want to make sure that that I save my questions, like literally go in there and just have a dialogue. And one thing that I learned throughout my years, Hadid, that there's no proper dialogue. You just speak, you just talk, you just ask. Literally, you just ask. You can ask in English, you can ask in Arabic, you can ask in Randog, you can ask in whatever language that is that you want to just ask. And you cry it out because it's that intimate relationship that you have with Him, right? And you do it when again, if you feel like this is it, it's just that intimate, create that intimate time and moment. If you feel like praying in your own room, locking the door and just have that relationship with Allah, do it. If you feel having that prayer at night where everyone else is asleep, do it. Allocate that time where you don't feel ashamed that someone is there or someone's going to look or someone is going to judge you. No, it's just you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And He told you, ask and I'll give. So there's no such a thing as what should I ask? No. We just ask. Allocate a time and a space that this is your time with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that you want to be able to put yourself in a position where you just want to talk and communicate and write them down. That's another exercise you can do. Literally sit down and ask, write down so you can gather your thoughts. These are all the questionnaire that I wanted to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. This is what I want to ask Him. And then you can pray. You can ask Him during your prayer, or you can, after the prayer, pick up your paper and read it. Who said this is right or wrong? No one said that. That's what I'm saying. That's the type of relationship that you will have with Him. Is by you being genuine and being intentional about what you want to do. So make it for that sense and literally. And then when you make it, how do you make it a habit? Have consistency. Like for me, for example, I created a habit because I knew that more time, 4 o'clock when I wake up, no one is there, just me and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it's me, my time. It's my time with Him. And I do it the first day, and then I got a good feeling. I did it the second day, and I got an awesome feeling the third day. And it's literally just focus on that one day, second day, third day, fourth day, fifth day, seventh day. That's you create that momentum. And once you create that momentum, you become habits. Because I promise you, once you get into a level, you're gonna start seeing some magic happen in your life. Just things just keep happening and blessing and guidance and things like that. And all these questions they start to ask, you are gonna get an answer. And all of a sudden it's like, this is interesting. And relate it back into that conversation. Pat yourself in the back because you did that and you put yourself in the position and keep pushing forward. Hopefully that answered that. What is the first step towards strengthening your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? I think, and that's the first step will be the intentions. Literally having the intentions and asking yourself, what do you want? Like, do you really want to improve that relationship? Yes or no? If you're not ready, you're not ready. No one can force you. Literally, no one can. This is for you. And that's something I want you guys to think about this. You're doing it for you. Don't do it for anyone else. It's for you, for your own sake, for your own guidance, for your own happiness, for your own joy. So don't do it for anybody else. So when you ask that question, do you really want to improve that relationship with Allah and strengthen your relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? If the answer is yes, that's the intention. Then you ask yourself, why? Because of this, I want to have barakah, I want to have these things, I want to have guidance, I want to get married, I want to have kids, I want to have a lot of money, I want to have a lot of resources, I want to be wealthy, I want to be known, I want to be famous. That's your intention. Great. Awesome. Wonderful. And then you start to take some of your steps. And be gentle with yourself throughout the process. Don't beat yourself up. And then ask. I mean, again, you're not alone in this process. Literally, you're not alone in this process. You can ask for help. And that's the beauty behind Islam. But how you start, like I said, the way I started, by literally going back into reading the story of the Prophet ﷺ. Literally, because I wanted to understand from a psychological standpoint, who is this person? I wanted to get to know him. Literally, I wanted to get to know him. I dug deeper and I started to understand like his relationship with all these different entities. Then once I understood who this person, why he was like the way he was, then I started to pick up, then I picked up the Quran. And I literally just picked up the Quran, I read it, I translated it, I wrote some questionnaire, and then I had some questions, I got confused by certain things, and then I went in and started to ask questions and challenge those questions until I found the answers that fit in with me. And then that was my first step. And then every day, that 1% improvement, that 1% improvement, that 1% improvement. Hamid Jafar says something that's awesome. It starts with opening our hearts. The best, I mean, that's exactly what it is. Being able to receive. That's another critical part of it. Awesome. Today's been posted daily motivation. Thank you, Amro. By the way, guys, I do have a group on WhatsApp. It's called the Daily Affirmation Group, and it's basically part of what I do at 4 o'clock in the morning. Also, after my prayers, I do spend the time to write an affirmation for me. That's part of my homework for myself, and I write that and I do send that out to everyone. And it's part of like the only thing I think catch for the guys, the people that receive it, is once they get it, to reflect back on it. I start to write things about them and write that affirmation, because that's how we started it. Like literally, that's the Constitution. Like you dictate what you want to get in life. If you want to start your day right, you have a right day, and it's all about the mindset. People ask me like what's your favorite day of the week? Monday is my favorite day of the week. I mean, people are like, what? Like seriously, Monday? Yes, Monday. Why? Because in my mind, it's programmed that if I have an amazing Monday, I'm having an amazing week. So I'm gonna kill it on a Monday to have an amazing Monday, and it's intentional. And guess what, guys? I have every Monday, alhamdulillah, I have an amazing Monday, and then the whole entire week is amazing. So it's that mindset. It's what we want to do. So when we become opening our heart and figuring out what you want to do, being intentional about that relationship, asking yourself why you want to do it, because of this particular reason, then you set the stage and you say, all right, I want to do this, I want to do this, I want to do this, and then go for it. And like I said, it doesn't have to be 100% change in every aspect of your life. It's the baby steps. Create that momentum, because the more you create that momentum, the more you become confident about the things you do. And then you become confident, and more confident, you become confident. And then from reading, you go into learn Arabic, improving that, strengthening that, from so just listen to Quran, to more reading it, from more reading it to actually going into trying to process it and understand it, from that to start to memorize it, from that to to get other people to get into it, literally. But it all starts from that one question that you ask yourself, am I ready to make a change, and am I ready to strengthen that relationship? And if the answer is yes, it's good, it's done. It's literally done. Because Allah Ta'ala said, Inna Allah yaghfiru dhunuba jami'a, literally everything. And literally, it doesn't matter what you do and how you do. And there's that, remember that there's a story the Prophet ﷺ said about this guy who killed 99 people in his life. And then he was walking and wanted to have tawbah. And it's a true story, by the way. The Prophet actually said it. And someone from Bani Israel, and literally killed 99 people. And then he was walking around trying to find guidance, because he was like, this is not the way of living. And he walked. He met a guy, and he said to him yo, I'm trying to find forgiveness from Allah. I'm trying to I'm trying to repent. I want to do better. The guy was like, you killed 99 people? This will never happen. He killed them. And he kept on moving. And he met another guy, and he told him, I just killed 100 people in my life, and I really want to find forgiveness. And the guy said to him, find the city, just go to it. Literally, just go to that city. And we're going to find someone, and you're going to, inshallah, God, inshallah, going to accept him. And the guy just started walking. He had the intention. Literally, that's what it is. The intention to do better. He walked, and died in the middle of the road. So the Malaika got confused about like, yo, what do we do here? Like this guy's like, he killed all these people, and then someone, and then what, like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, he went back to Allah, and Allah said, listen, just count the distance between where he started and where he was going, and find out like if he's closer to where he wants to go to have that that forgiveness and find himself and repent and all this, like he's Muslim, and put him in Jannah. And if he's there, like if he's closer to where he's coming from, put him in Jahannam. And there's a saying that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala asked like the earth to come closer. So when they counted, they found that he's closer to that city, and he went to Jannah for that. And that's the guy that didn't do anything except having that proper intention. And that's the importance of intention to strengthen that relationship. So when that guy asked himself that question, am I ready to change? The answer was yes. Like why? Because I want to just God to forgive me. I want to go to Jannah, kill all these people. It doesn't matter. Let me take some steps. And he took some steps, and that will happen. You will find yourself today at this point with a huge conflict. We went through so many different things in life. We all did. We made tons of mistakes. It doesn't matter what that is. Tons of mistakes. Guys, just think about that. Like some people like you, like they can write a poem, they can write a book on the amount of ma'asi that they did. One of the most important things that I want to mention to you, if you do something wrong, keep it to yourself. Keep it to yourself. If you literally, let's say, go out there and drink, keep it to yourself. If you smoke, keep it to yourself. If you went in, had girlfriend and had sex and did whatever that you did, keep it to yourself. It's nobody else's business. It's between you and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and he knows. He already knows, right? So when you keep it to yourself, it becomes a lot easier for you to not be influenced by other people. But the biggest problem that we tend to see right now, we put things on social media, we put up the whole world about it, and people find out, why? It's nobody else's business. This is yours. So keep things to yourself. If you make a mistake, keep it to yourself. And then when you make that decision that you want to change, start taking some steps without external influence. Because if you, for example, drink all the time, every single day and things like that, and people know about it, then all of a sudden you tell your friends, like, yo, I'm going to stop. The first thing they're going to say to you, like, yo, what? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not going to even forgive you. Like, what are you talking about, dude? Just keep it moving, literally. But keep it to yourself. No one needs to know. Why should people know, right? So that's another important part about what we do. Keep that to yourself. If you make a mistake, you do something wrong, keep it to yourself and keep moving forward. Any other questions? How do we support the individual to build a relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, especially if they have so much guilt and they are in denial of their ability to build a relationship? And that's exactly what I talked about, you guys. You have to be gentle with yourself. You have to be, you have to love yourself. You have to be selfish with yourself. You agree with you 100%. And you got to take that deep part as proximity. If that's a person that's going through that journey, again, be there. But you don't have to influence. It's all about the approach, guys. You can't just go in there, you effed up, you messed up, you can't believe this. No. Send some videos, some just daily affirmation about abilities. That's all it is. Because sometimes like pushing through, it's literally make people like just not want to do it, especially with just getting started. If you see someone like, yo, in Ramadan right now, like having prayed all Ramadan, and now all of a sudden they start to pray, literally stop making some crazy comments. Like, oh, mashallah, no, stop with that. Yo, bro, mashallah, great job, man. That's awesome. Maybe the next time they pray, yo, lead us on a prayer. Literally, that's awesome, bro. Literally send them a text on a separate thing, bro. Wallah, I'm so proud of you, man. You motivate me. Like you doing this, wallah, he gave me that courage for me to be better. Thank you so much. People want to get acknowledged. When they hear that, yo, subconsciously, they're going to start to push. Literally, that's what it is. That's how you support. Sometimes you allow space. Sometimes you just listen. They come to you and talk to you and do all these different. Just listen. It's okay. Just listen. And just remind them. Do not be hard on yourself. Allah said, "I'm gonna forgive you every sin. I'm gonna forgive it, yo. Everything." And I get excited about this because this is what Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala said. He didn't say I'm gonna forgive everything except everything. Make the intention and take some steps. All right, couple more questions. I know it's almost 7:30. I don't know how are we doing with time because I don't want to take over this thing. So guys, please let me know if you need me to stop. I'll definitely jump in. Good question, sir. Let me see. Going back to the idea of going with the flow and going with the motion, same thing as a prayer. You don't focus because we're with the flow. If we read unfamiliar ayahs and surahs in our prayers, we become more focused on, perfecting it. That's awesome. Example, if you're driving to work and using the same route every single day, we can get the subconscious mind. I agree with you. And then, but if we take the roads closed and take them, I love that. I love that example. Rizza, that's definitely an amazing way to do it. Being tactical. And one of the things that like people, and again, that's people being hard on themselves. Someone said to me like, "Yo, how, I don't know other ayahs. Pick up the Quran. Pick up the Quran and read from it. Literally, that's how that simple that is. Oh yeah, it's haram to become. No. Dude, again, we're not talking about haram and halal at this point. We're talking about strengthening that relationship. We're strengthening with that relationship with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, strengthening that and focusing on your prayers and do all these different things. Literally, everything we do, it's that easy. There's an easy solution to it. You don't know how to recite? Pick up a Quran. Or read while you praying. You don't have a Quran at home? Pick up your phone. The tafsir ayat. But make sure that you just stop the notification and everything else. Because I see people like literally go online and try to read Quran and start getting all these text messages and then all of a sudden like they're going through like no, so just kidding. But just keeping that in mind. It's simple and it's easy. We need to stop complicating things. Take 21 days for a habit, 100%. You're absolutely right. It takes 21 days to form a habit. So just get into, just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Even if you miss a day, you miss 2 days, get back on it. You don't have to restart counting. It's literally just that momentum to move forward. 21 days becomes a habit. You'll just keep doing it with an intentional. So yes, that's definitely a good thing. Awesome. Any more questions? How about this? Should we just open it up to like questionnaire for people, like just to maybe open up their mics and ask any questions, and we'll just jump in there and answer it that way? What are your thoughts?
Yeah, sure. We could do that. I think there's a couple of questions that I could read to you from YouTube. Sure. Someone asked, what sources or books did you read about the Prophet at the beginning of your journey?
Perfect. So literally it was I went onto YouTube, by the way. There wasn't like any books or anything. Like it was a YouTube series by this what is his name, Kuwaiti guy, and I'll send you guys the link afterwards. It was literally like, that was the first thing that popped up, and he's a storyteller. And so once I actually got into it and actually listened to the story behind it, like I was fascinated. I would just like literally I would sit there for hours and hours and hours and hours, just want to go to the next one, to the next one, to the next one. And I remember after finishing the prophecy that and then got deeper into there's a book that I'm gonna also share with you. It talked about the Prophet ﷺ, like in all aspects of life, and it was a very simple, I think 200 pages on your phone. You can just flick through it. But it talked about the Prophet ﷺ with how did he deal with his family, how is he at home, how is he with his friends, how is he with doing ghazwas, how is he in every aspect of life. And it's like I said, very easy read. You can just slide it. I'll send that to you as well as a reference.
Thank you. Let me see if there's any other questions. And feel free to unmute yourselves, guys, if you have any questions. Go for it, Nini.
So the guy's name is, I'm so sorry. The guy's name is Nabil Al-Awadi. That's the guy that I can. He's a storyteller. And if you just type in Qisas Rasul Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, Nabil Al-Awadi, like he's gonna pop up. Sorry, go for it. I'm so sorry.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you, by the way, for everything. You've really been really inspiring, mashallah. So my question is very, very personal. And if you all would allow me to be a little vulnerable, I would appreciate that. So my question, you can hear fine. My question is what if somebody is going through a journey where they're healing? I'm not going to use somebody, this is me right now. I'm going through a journey where I'm healing something that was very traumatic. And in that healing process, I kind of was leaning more towards blame instead of understanding why certain things happen to you. I'm kind of recovering from the blame. I used to blame God for it. Why did God allow certain things to happen. And in that blaming phase, I kind of separated from God. I kind of was just like, I don't really want. I mean, I had Iman in my heart, but it wasn't. And so, what advice would you give to somebody like me that's really honing in on like every aspect of connection, just trying to have a connection with God like I used to, and understanding that like it's okay to heal. And this, I guess my question is, what advice would you give to somebody that literally has a blank slate right now and is trying to use this Ramadan to just fully go back to normal?
Awesome. That is a very good question. Thank you so much for sharing that. I know I lost you for a second, but I think I understood what you're saying as far as the blaming. Sometimes, and that's what I mentioned earlier, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala put us through things in life to prepare us for certain things, right? And sometimes we don't understand like why we lose a job, for example, why we lose a certain person, why we break up with a boyfriend or girlfriend, why something happened to us, why we get in a car accident, why whatever that is that happened to us. But I think when you start to think about it from a sense of like, all right, it happened to us for a reason. Sometimes we will know the reason. Sometimes there's no idea how to find out that specific reason. So being gentle with yourself, I think that goes back into that same questionnaire. And you know what? Take a step back. And you mentioned something that I love, and I love to hear. You said, "How can I rebuild that relationship that I had, that iman that I had?" Like, iman you never lost the iman in your heart, and this is the beautiful part about what you do, about your journey. Allah Subhanahu wa Taala said again, so at this point, you're making that intention that I want to do better, right? And my advice to you specifically would be gentle with you. Literally learn, go back and try to maybe learn how to love you first. I think that's one of those things, because I think it's you're very hard on yourself, and you become very hard on yourself. You blame yourself, and then you blame Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. And because a lot of us, it's easier to blame others, but then once you identify, like you're the one who's, like to say, going through the process, through the motion, you blame you, and then you're trying to find anybody else to blame, and then you blame Allah, and you go through with this whole process. So again, Allah Subhanahu wa Taala said, my advice to you is, it's okay. It's perfect. You're here for a reason. You're asking this question for a reason. You are at this position for a reason. You went through whatever you went through in life for a reason, to prepare you for this specific moment. But dig deeper into self-love, learning how to love yourself truly. And how do you do that? You first identify who you are truly, understand who you are, and then understand how to learn how to love yourself. Not becoming like selfish and things like that, but just putting yourself first, being gentle with yourself, taking yourself out on walks, do the things that that you love to do the things that scare you, follow through with all these different things. And really, the more you start to love yourself, you're gonna start to build that confidence. And then the more you start to do that, you're gonna become a lot more accessible to take that accountability measure, that what, yes, this is what happened, but what happened for a reason. Let me if you are the part of the problem, you start to fix it. You apologize, like the story that I shared earlier, and you keep moving forward. But the key to this whole thing is self-love. It's forward by So maybe taking this journey and digging deeper into identifying who are you truly. Get to know yourself a little bit. Learn to love yourself a little bit, and then using that to strengthen that relationship that you already have with Allah Subhanahu wa Taala. Allah is not mad at you. You'll never be. He put you through these different things for a reason, and He made you ask this specific question for a reason. So take that. You cherish it, embrace it, learn to love yourself, learn about who you are, first of all, then learn to love yourself, and then continue to push and nurture that relationship you have with Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala. Hopefully that answered it.
I had a question as well. So a lot of times when we're taught Islam, like especially as women, it's almost suffocating in a sense, and everything is taught as like, this is haram and you should like this, or women in Islam are not like that. So like when you grow up, your relationship with is kind of heavy in a way, because it's like your family, your society, they use it to dictate your life you should live. So focus a lot on self-love. How do you begin to break down the stigmas that for so many years you were conditioned to see religion in such a restricting way when, like you said, it's simple?
Now that's also an amazing question. That's a very realistic thing, and I agree with you 100%. I think that lack of knowledge that's what create this thing for my parents to put a young woman in this prison. And I want to call it prison, to be honest with you, and dictate their life throughout. I think you reach a level where at this point, for example, you identified that. Hold on a second, that wasn't it. I did my homework and I understood exactly what women in Islam. By the way, there's the stories of the women in Islam, and these guys, like, they're fascinating. Like, these guys were leaders. These guys were businesswomen. These guys traveled. These guys talked. These guys were warriors. These guys did so many different things. But it is a side of Islam itself like that that's never been spoken about. And not to anybody's fault, but I think our parents, as you mentioned, a lot of it is they're conditioned into certain things. Like they engraved that from the way they brought up and they were brought up, and they engraved that from their parents and their parents and their parents. So the responsibility goes back on you at this point to break the cycle. And that's the amazing part. You break the cycle by being knowledgeable and doing your homework and studying. And then you go back and you process these things and you process decision with the parents. Because at this point, again, we're not expecting to change someone. Because at some point, they might choose not to change, which is okay. But you're breaking that cycle because you're at this point in your life, you're trying to understand and learn more about the woman in Islam and the things that they did, the amazing stories that they had, and how leaders they are, and like when I read about these things, I get excited, I get pumped up. Like literally, I tell my wife all the time, like I'm like, this is something make me so proud of being Muslim, like to see like the women as far as having businesses and going on things and going on tribes and talking to people and being wisdom. Sayyidatna Aisha and all the wisdom, and people come to her and ask all these different questions. Sayyidatna Khadija and God talking. Literally, like send her the salam. So when you start to dig deeper into these questionnaire and trying to reflect back on those stories, that will give you a different side. Because we are conditioned to think in one way, but by breaking the cycle, you will force yourself to think in a separate way. And that's when you start to gain that knowledge and gain that momentum to build you, love yourself and build you, and then your generation, your kids and your kids and their kids and their kids. But it's on you at this point, and it's a hard thing to do, but it's on you to take that, because at some point you are breaking a cycle. But again, you're not alone. There's so many different awesome women going through the same thing that you're going through. So just utilizing your support system, going through, asking the question, doing your homework, and use the knowledge that you have to educate yourself and educate others. You'll start to create that proximity. So it's not just you, it's just a whole movement of young women coming in to break the cycle of this whole, like religion and culture mixed together for a different interpretation, a lot of conditioning that leads us to a different way. And once you start to break that cycle, I promise your life will never be the same, inshallah, for you.
Thank you so much. One follow-up question. I wanted to know, how do we join the WhatsApp group that you mentioned earlier?
Perfect. So it is, at this point, it's private in a group. So if you guys just text me, like just phone numbers, that's all I need. And I'll just add you guys into WhatsApp. That's all what it is. So it's by invitation. So whoever wants to join the group, just send me your phone number, name. I'll add you into the group, and then inshallah, starting tomorrow, you'll start to get these, and it's literally one text a day. And sometimes throughout the day, if I see certain things, like yesterday, for example, I took I had a conversation with an amazing person about anxiety. So literally at night, we got into it. Like after the conversation, I did send in a couple of things in there as far as how to just manage anxiety, how to do with things, and how to just to push that. And it was awesome. Like they were receptive. So for the most part, it's one text during the day, but then every once in a while, like I said, I'll push some topics that's happening just to raise some certain awareness on certain things. But I'm the only person like who typically drive it. But it's more than it's a community that we're trying to create, just to positivity, affirmation, get people just to continue to move forward. But we don't advertise for anything. We don't do none of that stuff. We just for that specific purpose.
Thank you.
Awesome. Any more questions?
I have one, and it's around, so obviously in Ramadan, the shaitan's locked up. So for me, I wanted to, I guess, look at the way my thinking patterns, and I noticed that I'm still quite negative, and my question is, how do I disconnect from negative thinking, because that really impacts me with faith as well.
Simple thing, pen and paper, and your homework right now actually to write down 50 positive things about you. And then the second step, identify 5 people that you think know you best. And then I want you to send them a text message after this call and say, please describe me in 5 positive things or more. So you have 50, they send you 25, that's 75. And then you continue to work on identifying 100 things. We're so hard on ourselves, by the way, you guys. Like, this is something I think it's engraved in us. We do so much good in life, and we do so much good things in our journeys, but then we get stuck if we do one thing wrong and we beat ourselves up for it. And that's that concept. We need to start to retrain our minds to think positive, to enforce positivity, to live positivity. You know, so by doing this exercise, once you finish it, write all that thing in one page. Take that same page, hang it around in your bedroom, hang it in your mirror, hang it in your bathroom, hang it inside your door, hang it in your car. So everywhere you go, you start to just to reflect back and this is who I am. I'm this amazing person that have so much good things in life to bring in. And it's not just me seeing it, it's my friends and family see it. Everyone else is seeing it. So once you start to have these negative thoughts, literally get back into that paper. If you get a thought, for example, oh, you're not worth it. You start to look back and you're like, hold on a second, let me check if I have worthless on there. No, sorry, I don't have worthless in there. You know what? I love myself and I know what I am. Let's keep moving forward. It's all about, again, it's thinking about it from that thought process. Taking a step back, writing things that you want to do, positive things about yourself, surround yourself with positive people, and be okay to take compliments, by the way. I know this is some point, and a lot of people, like, they have this, they don't want to take a compliment, so that goes back into that self-love and cherishing yourself and nurturing yourself and learning how to love yourself. I think that'll be the answer for that. Awesome. Any more questions? Perfect.
I have another one. Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. How about it? We'll take one more. Like some people want to get in and do a thought and things like this. We'll take one more question and then we'll just wrap it up.
Okay, then. Shit, that's a lot of pressure. Sorry. So my question was, with a lot of information on social media and internet in general, where would you get your sources from? Because sometimes I feel like I don't know like what information to trust around like Islam and stuff. So yeah, just internet sheikhs and all of that. So it would be nice to know, because personally I don't have like a specific sheikh. So.
I love it. No, same thing. I'm with you. I don't follow any specific sheikh or anything like that. So the way I did it, like I said, literally just jumped in, start to read about, just reading the Quran, and then having my own question when it comes to that. And then going online and just start asking questions. Islam Web is a good resource, to be honest with you. A lot of time will give you a lot of good insights as far as like some of those questions. So it's not a specific sheikh who's doing it. It's just a lot of just, general, questionnaire that you jump on it. So, like I said, I have some few resources I can share with you guys after, and you guys can jump into it. But I really want to just make sure that we wrap this up, and then again, that's another good one. Mufti Menk is a good one. Omar Sulaiman is another awesome guy. These guys are just, again, very methodical as far as the way they think, and they challenge our thought process as far as the youth, which is, I think, someone that you should definitely, check that in. But I don't know Mikael Smith, I never met him, but that's something just to think about. So thank you so much, you guys, for the time. And as I mentioned, I know it's a heavy topic, but I know we covered so many different things. I think just to sum it up, again, be okay, be gentle with yourself, have the proper intentions. Take a step back. Literally, I think ask yourself why you want to do what you do. Why do you want to nurture that relationship? Identify your end goal as far as how you want to, where do you want to go in this? And then start to make small baby steps to get to that. Build that momentum, build your confidence, and then you start to take some of that, take some of that responsibility. Surround yourself with some amazing individuals. Proximity is power. And we'll just end with that. thank you so much, you guys. We truly appreciate that. I know tomorrow it's going to be an interesting one. Just wait until we post it. But I definitely look forward to seeing all of you guys tomorrow, inshallah.
We just want to say, like, thank you so much, Yani. This has been so positive, so changing. Like, from the start of the workshop, from the very first reflection question that you asked, I already started thinking and reflecting on myself, and that goes to show, like, your energy, your positivity does have, like, a remarkable impact. And the time that you spent with us could have been time that you spent with your family, bonding with them, but you're here making a difference with us, and we can't like the deepest gratitude and appreciation that we have towards you. So I just want to end it with a dua, because that's, I think, the best thing that we could give, and ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to protect, increase you in blessings and success in this world and the hereafter. And may your infectious love touch many hearts, and you continue to make an impact to those that you know and those that you don't know. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless this gathering today, protect our ummah, and help our ummah to be among those that do good, bring good, and leave behind good, Ya Allah. Ya Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, please bring us closer to you and stabilize our hearts and allow us to develop an unbreakable bond with you and Islam as our deen, and the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam as our prophet.
I mean, thank you so much, guys. Truly appreciate that. Awesome. You guys have a good night. Enjoy your iftar, inshallah, and we'll talk, inshallah, tomorrow.
All right.
I mean, good night. Thank you so much, bro.
You got it, guys. Thank you so much.
That's all.
Hello, Tabarak. My child. It's you and I. You're muted.
It's on live still. I'm waiting for it.
Okay, bye.